Yes.
Are you not going to acknowledge this? That there's a clown? A clown?
All right, I'm acknowledging it. It fits badly this way, but look now. Nice, right?
It's moving a lot more than you're moving, and that's what's tripping me out. It's
It's
like
alive.
it's blowing in the wind or something.
The
Did you say that
answer,
there's?
my Meg, is blowing. Okay, we're live, by the way. Am I singing when
Oh,
we're not live? Can I intro
okay.
this, or are we going to talk about my hair some more?
You can. I didn't. I was asking you about who's gonna. Is the cameraman thing in effect?
Yeah. Oh shit. Hold on. Now I'm getting feedback.
Oh God.
Okay. All right. I'm back. You know what happened there is I've got YouTube playing on my other monitor, and so I was hearing some feedback. Okay. Shall we start this cast off? You've got to edit some of this if you want.
But wait, how is the camera going to be
Oh,
adjusted?
where the fuck is my clown outfit?
It, it
What
went
do you want?
away.
You want the camera to show my nudity?
No, what I want is the camera to move back and forth in a relevant pattern instead of just showing.
Okay.
You know,
Let me
isn't there a little application like the
let me
camera?
see about that.
And we're live anyway, so we're
We
fucking
are.
terrible.
Okay. You know what? I'll tell you what. This is what we'll do. Let me intro this cast. We'll start talking, and while you're giving us the answers as God sees them, I'll play around with that.
This is not as professional as I'd like.
It's only episode 2. Let's do this. Hey
Episode
guys, welcome.
2. Go ahead, sorry.
Take 2. All right, welcome to Mr. Pod episode 2. We're here with Miguelito, the Love Machine, and Ryan. Welcome, Miguelito, author and creator of Miguelito Splash.
People are going to Google that,
Dude,
and they're
that
going to find nothing. They're going to find the reggaeton musician named Miguelito, the most famous one.
you need to add that recipe to your site ASAP. Pick up some more hits. Miguelito Splash. Google it. By the way, speaking of SEO and keywords, back in the day when we first started MMO Smack Talk, on the original website I created, I had a tagline on there that said something like, 4 guys that kick loads of asses online. Well, one time I was checking out the keywords, and we were coming up #1 for loads of asses. And the rest of them were porn sites. And then somehow we lost that ranking. I don't know why, because I hadn't changed it.
I've done the same thing. SEO is awesome because I make a lot of typos because I'm so intelligent. I pay so much attention. And I'm not even going to mention how many typos we've come up #1 for on the various sites that I've made. But these are like professional sites where the real words are not being indexed, but the typos are. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but with this is something I was wondering. So with this SEO, where you're now taking #1 position, I don't understand that because you have other sites that, especially in the world of porn, they're paying for these positions, yet somehow some no account MMO Smack Talk, loads of asses comes up #1. How does that happen? What is the deal with SEO if that can happen?
Well, you can't pay. You can't actually pay for the real organic search position. All you're paying for is the like the ad placement position. So, I mean, really, it's their fault because porn sites are notorious for being media centric, if you know what I mean. And search engine optimization is all about having like content and words. So they wouldn't have a bunch of content in like header tags saying loads of asses. They would just have maybe those words in like links. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
they're video sites in general are not great for search engine optimization because they're video based and not word based.
what I'm wondering is how you know so much about porn.
Wonder no more, my friend.
Wondering complete. You know what I am wondering about is how to get this camera to toggle to the loudest person so the speaker has focus.
You might just have to click back and forth manually since
I don't
we're
know if I
like
can. I don't know if I could do that. That's not something I could do.
No, because you can't anticipate who's
Um,
going to be talking.
all right, well, let me tell you this. Well, I'll figure it out as we go. Um, okay, there's just too many buttons. Okay, I guess I'm the wrong guy to have control of the camera, but
Brought to
um,
you by Easy Cheese.
Easy Cheese and Miguelito, the love machine.
Miggy Splash and Easy Cheese.
So what is a Miggy Splash?
It's vodka and Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew, and pineapple juice.
It's disgusting.
It's a concoction of, hey, that's in the fridge. Let's pour it all together.
Does your wife drink it?
No, she drinks conventional things that don't make you throw up.
Has she ever had Miggy Splash?
No, she doesn't.
Don't go dirty with that, son.
She doesn't drink anything except for like water, like real boring type
All
of
right, excuse me. Speaking of boring, let me bring up some boring topics for you. Okay. And I'm going to let you choose. Since you don't know what you want to talk about tonight, I've collected since our last episode, like, oh, God, 10 boring topics. So I'm going to read them off to you, and then you pick, and we're going to go through them one by one according to your selection. All right? You ready for this? The first one, the first item for Miguelito to wax wonderful on is fake-ass nerds.
You're such an asshole.
But you can save that topic for last. That's your prerogative.
No. I would like to address this.
This will be coming. Let me finish the list. I know you're anxious. Hold your horses, you goddamn love machine. Critiques. I think this was about the website. And we're just going to kind of talk about things that we could do with the Mr. Pod site. So maybe we should save that for last, if anything. And if anybody's wondering why in God's forsaken name would these guys burn my time talking about web development and things they want to do, well, the reason is it kind of hits two birds with one stone. I get to talk to Miguelito, we do our cast, and we do our strategizing. The secondary benefit is people who are listening, they might be interested to hear that, and those that don't want to hear it, you can hang the fuck up. See how that works? Another topic, which I guess is related, and anybody listening, you are more than welcome to opine in our comment section. You can do it in the YouTube, or go to MMO Smack Talk and tap on the Mr. Pod icon. But tell us how to get more viewers. Anybody that has any insight into marketing, we're all about that. But that's the third topic. Fourth topic, and I forgot what this is about. Maybe this will ring a bell. And don't look so despondent over there. Okay, this is your lucky night. We're casting episode 2. All right. Face slavery.
I realize what you're doing, right? You're just focusing the camera on me.
Well, okay. How can I do this? I go back and forth. People see my nudity. That's offensive. All right. So now we're back to you.
Quite frecklesome.
Face slavery. Does that ring a bell to you? I totally forgot what that was all about.
Face slavery?
Face slavery.
Is that like a written typo?
I wrote that down, dude. I wrote it down. My own
face
font.
slavery. So like someone not paying a face to do work.
You know what? It sounded better when I first wrote it down.
I'm sure there was something there.
Maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe we won't. Just don't pick that one first. Okay. Shards. We were talking about Shards and Kickstarter.
Shards Online.
Okay.
Cool
the next thing is violence as a result of video games, i.e. nerd rage.
Bull honky.
Tryhards.
Yeah.
I'm a tryhard.
You're not a fucking tryhard.
Let me move this camera on me. I'm a tryhard. Okay. So I was kind of out of focus there for a moment. Okay, okay, check this out. A topic, this may go very quick or not when we get to it, but I have a theory on the death of balance in class-based games and what sort of led to the death of balance as we know today. Then I had a question for you about, have you ever seen the show The League?
No.
Oh, fuck. You need to watch that. I know you have Netflix. I laugh. Yeah. I sack off. But we're going to come back to that because I have some game relevance to that. We actually here's loads of asses that was on my docket. I can cross that one out.
Loads of asses.
Computer specs. These are all boring topics. And then the final topic, which I'm just adding right now as I'm talking to you, is there was a short conversation between you, Winanoid, and myself about servers and ArcAge, and I want to sort of reconstruct that conversation and
QH.
get your opinion on that. Yeah, QAge. So which topic? Because I know you wrote these down as I said them.
I didn't. I've been just looking at this Easy Cheese, and I don't have a vessel to put it in my mouth.
Your mouth is your vessel.
But I'm not, the Goof Troop character that does that. So I'm gonna have to just keep staring and wanting. So if there's a wanting look, like a look of quiet desperation, that's what it's about. It's not about anything but the Easy Cheese.
I feel like I'm seeing that look right now. It's a very lusty look. It's a look that's no good. It's a look that wants cheese.
I've been accused of being a cheese luster in the past.
Okay, Love Machine.
Let's just start at the top. Let's start with fake ass nerds.
Brilliant.
Because I know this guy that basically he claims to be like in the IT spectrum, to be like a web developer kind of guy. And he can't even use like Mumble right most of the time. You might know this guy.
Okay, yes. Now I recall the story. Okay, a fake ass nerd. So let me give sort of my clarification, my summary of what we're alluding to as a fake ass nerd. So there are people out there who actually know all about tech specs. They know about bandwidth, computers. They can install anything. They could do a little bit of code. And then you have people that just like gadgets. They just buy gadgets that are most popular. And so those sort of, are they even called gearheads? Can we call them a gearhead, or would it just be?
They say they're geeks just because they own an iPhone, but they don't know what RAM looks like. So it's like, what I think it comes down to is like you had this age of gamers before Steam, where people actually had to, what the fuck? What is that expression? Before Steam, you had these gamers that would, you go to the store and you look at the tech specs on the side of the box and you had to determine, like, do I have a 3D accelerator? Do I have 8 megabytes of RAM? And since Steam, it's like all these people buying Alienware laptops and playing PC games and just totally diluting the master race. So that's really what I'm talking about, is the PC gamer is no longer implicitly nerdy like it used to be. What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm going to hit stop on that. Sorry about that. I'm trying to fix this view here, and who knows what's happening. Okay, so do you have a problem with these people, though? Because you brought this up. Is there an issue? Do you have some sort of secret?
I do. I blame it for the degradation of especially MMOs, where it used to be, like back in the days of Ultima Online and EverQuest, the person you play with had a certain intellectual capacity requirement, and now you see a lot more people, the Call of Duty type people getting into these games, and they're not useful.
Well, what's wrong with that? You can shoot them.
You can, except
they can make you look good.
They almost always end up being on your team, and they're the people that are the most vocally antagonistic. So it just becomes a real pain in the ass, and it's not like a huge problem, but I could see it just slowly. The culture of PC gaming is merging with the culture of console gaming, and I don't really like that implication.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it beats the immediate alternative, which was my wife just got home. She's trying to avoid the webcam. Okay.
Oh, tell her to walk in front of it.
Hey, walk in front of it, welder woman. So no, she's about to slap.
Get her a Mickey Splash. She can pull up a chair.
Yeah, I'll give her a Mickey Splash. Okay, I think it was about 10 years ago. My brother pointed out an article to me. I think it might have been in Wired, but it was some prolific publication. And at that point, they were forecasting the death of PCs, specifically PC games, because the
Yeah.
console was on the rise. And I remember at that time, I said, "There's no way that can happen. I PC games are head and shoulders, complexity-wise, above regular console games. The number of things you could do. I mean, hell, the number of buttons that you have to mash just to be successful." Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think the interface of a PC game, like the having the mouse and the keyboard, it provides for a level of complexity, like you're saying, uh, on every level that's superior to what a controller would do. And I think more than that, you see these pseudo consoles like the Steam boxes and things that are starting to gain popularity. I think consoles are getting to be, I don't know, there will always be a place for both, I think, but a console is more of a party machine, and I think it always kind of has been. It's not really something that I don't know. I'm biased because I would never, if I had to choose, a PC is just the superior device. But
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I completely agree. But so I guess what the point is, circling around here, is that you had mentioned, it sucks that console gamers are coming over to the PC and they're sort of diluting the total skill. But I see it as a good thing in two separate ways. Number one, that prognostication turned out to be untrue. Thanks be to Allah. Okay. And then number two is with these lesser gamers, they actually make me look good because I'm not very good these days, but I can get into a game of Team Fortress and score above the 50% mark. I'll take that.
yeah,
I'll
but you're
take that.
playing against like 12-year-olds.
I'll take that. I don't care. It's a name on a board that yields points and makes me look good. I'll take that. What's
Yeah.
wrong with that?
Well, all I'm saying is it used to be to play PC games, you had to have familiarity with the parts of a computer. There's a whole generation of technical professionals like myself who really only got into the field because we had to build and upgrade computers, growing up to match with these games. But now it's like there are all these mainstream computer manufacturers that come out with stuff that can play games, and I just think it really has turned what has been not so much an intellectual group, but at least like a group that understood what they were operating on. I mean, I would never be able to sit on a console and say, "Oh, this has this much RAM and the processor is this fast," just because it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing. But with the PC, I always know what's in my PC. I mean, all real nerds would know all the pieces inside their computer.
Well, so then, to that end, let's run a test. What's in your computer, Miguelito?
No, no, don't don't put me on the spot.
I hear
I
you
actually
pounding out DX Diag.
no, right? Yeah. Well, this is not in my computer. This is how you know. This is what I just replaced. It's that was a GTX 260, which is really old, and I just replaced it with the new architecture. Man, video cards today, they run a lot cooler on a lot less power, and it's kind of nice. I mean, my computer doesn't sound like a jet engine anymore.
How many gigahertz?
G- for the video card
Yeah, the
or
GPU.
the I don't know. It's stream processors.
Your
So there's
nerdness
a
sucks.
yeah, I know. I think it has like 300 something stream processors. They're probably not clocked very fast, but that's not really the point.
How about your CPU? What's that at? And how many core?
That's what I need to upgrade. I'm at a 2.8 quad core. I think it's a Phenom 2.
And why do you need to upgrade that? I could be stupid, but that sounds like it's good enough. I mean, I'm running a.
Yeah, it's an older generation. I mean, they like you see the same clock speeds now, but the generation is just inferior in the processing power in terms of like it's not just about gigahertz anymore. It's about the efficiency.
Hey, going back to your graphics card, this is what's going to really help me understand what you had compared to what you have. When you play Dota, was your profile animated with the old card?
The profile, was it animated?
Yeah, so in
Is
Dota,
that a graphical specification?
when you run around, if you have enough power in your card, it kind of wiggles like like you're moving. Not, I
Oh
mean, you're
yeah.
not, but your profile is.
I did notice a bump, but I went like 5 or 6 card generations ahead, and I mean it's a significant advancement.
So what are you gonna do with Grandpa?
With Grandpa, with my old card,
Yeah,
I'm gonna use it as a prop forever. Have you seen how big this thing is?
dude,
It's
that
like
is a
bigger. It's like
beast.
my head. Beast mode. When I got that thing, I moved up. I still remember the first 3D accelerator I got. It was a Voodoo 2. You remember that brand?
Voodoo, yes, I do. They used to be king.
Yeah. And you know who doesn't know that brand? Fake fucking nerds.
Dude, how many people do not know that brand listening to
Yeah,
this
if you're
call?
listening to this and you don't know what a Voodoo 2 is and why it was like the greatest Marvel of all time and could play Counter-Strike like super well, you're a fucking idiot and stop listening to this
Fucking
podcast.
idiot. Hang the fuck up right now. Yep. All right, here's my next topic for you. I want to talk about QAge. Okay, I've not played it yet. I signed up, downloaded it. I was ready to play. I logged in. Over 3,000 people in front of me in the queue. I tried 3 other servers, all of them in excess of 3,000 players ahead of me in the queue. So I said, fuck that. Got on Twitter. A conversation commenced between you, When Annoyed, and myself. What are your thoughts about the queue and what should companies like ArcAge do? Are they doing it right? Should they do nothing at all?
I thought it was a misstep at first, but it's a free to play game with a subscription, and the queue actually is not how it seems because I subscribed today, and apparently there's a priority queue for subscribers because other people were logging in with 3,000 in line. It put me at 2.
Isn't that a
Uh,
little racist?
well, basically they're just saying like if you pay, you actually get to play the game, which I think is, I mean, it's not exactly pay to win. It's pay to play in under an hour. But I don't
Well,
think I don't think that's too bad.
no, that's interesting. So you subscribed and you jumped up in ahead of the queue to the
Yeah,
second position.
you just go behind everybody that um, is
Pays.
paying. Yeah, and in front of everybody who's not. Which it's kind of funny because you never see the queue go up if you're waiting. So they're fucking fudging some numbers there, I think. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't really played the game too much to make an impression other than the first 20 levels are basically just par for the course, like grind out quest type of a thing.
Before we get
Because
into the depths, the mechanics of ArcAge, because there's something you said to me the other day I want to bring up that made me fucking giggle myself to sleep last night. But before we get there, just about these queues. All right, so if you pay, you get ahead. I think that's great. I think that's a great way to leverage your subscriber base. I was unaware of that. What I want to know, though, is if these numbers are correct, if it's really 3,000 dolts like myself, unpaying idiots in the queue per server, that seems to me that if you model it out, it would do them well to open up another server. But then
they
again, it might
have
be a pay-for server.
they opened up 2 since the initial server launch, and the biggest problem with a game like this, and it would be the same problem with Ultima, is you can't really merge servers in a traditional way. Because if you did that, people would lose their real estate, and real estate is a huge part of the game.
Okay,
Um,
but correct my logic. If we expect the game to grow, them to
yeah,
be
yeah.
prosperous, for the
If
population
you were an
increases.
optimist, which Tryon has no reason to be, then certainly you would at least double your servers because they would fill up. If you doubled the server capacity or doubled the server number, they would all be full still. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the right solution is because if people all play for a month and then quit, then you're back to their initial problem, which you have a bunch of empty servers that are full of houses, and you can't really pick one to get rid of.
How is a house removed from a player's control? What has to happen?
You have to pay taxes in order to maintain your house. So, I mean, if you're inactive for a period of time, then your house would go away.
There's no sieging.
The sieging, I think, is exclusive to a certain location. There's like an island that is a conquest-based system,
Now,
but I don't really like. I mean, I think if you, I like the Ultima system. I don't really like being able to knock down people's houses because then that discourages you from being able to play by yourself, and it's basically just saying, you either have to Zerg or don't play this game. I don't really. I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem like my style.
no, I can buy into that for sure. I think that there might be a mechanic though that's not yet been considered. I mean, seeing as how we're following the Ultima standard, and I've not really seen anything else that is not instance housing tried aside from the Ultima method. You know, for example,
Mm.
I'm going to make this up on the fly, suing people for their property, trip and fall lawsuits. you
Well,
know,
Star Wars Galaxies had uninstanced housing as well, and that did pretty well, but they kind of backed off of it because, I mean, and I don't know, I just don't get it because we've taken several steps backwards until now, and now RJ just kind of back to where Ultima was, but these these like Wildstar, for instance, which is Jesus Christ, is like a purely instance. You get like a floating island to place things on. I don't think that really works because it's not in the game. It's like you might as well be playing another game like The Sims while you're playing an MMO. It's not consequential, so it doesn't belong in an MMO because it's not really a multiplayer feature. You
now
got
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but just about paying taxes to keep your property. The funny thing is that I know several people, and I'm sure there's many people who do this. They keep up their game subscription just to maintain their virtual real estate, which
yeah.
is fucking crazy. You
Well,
know,
if they pay money, then good job, Tryon, because your system is working.
yeah.
But I think EVE Online is the biggest perpetrator. I don't want to bring up EVE Online again, because then we're going to catch more flack for my EVE hating.
You
But
don't know
EVE
shit about
Online,
Eve.
they have like the perfect model for emulating like crack addict behavior. Basically, they just kind of string people along, and if you stop paying, then you stop progressing, and it's just like a totally. I don't want to say evil. I think that's probably too far. But let's say evil.
Let's go ahead. Let's
Evil.
say that. Let's go with
I
that
mean,
one.
it's in the name. So,
Now tell me
but
something
somebody.
about Arcade. You told me the other day that you played with Brett and Josh. What was this story about a rowboat?
Oh,
Guys hopped in a
uh,
boat and like,
early on, everybody gets a rowboat as part of the kind of learning the game type of a thing, and you pick up your boat. And because the queue times are what they are, you have about 1,000 newbies all running through the new areas trying to get their rowboats and trying to go complete the quests or whatever. I was like immediately saying this is an opportunity to, you know, find somebody who's really intent on going and completing their thing and just parking right in front of them. And that was fun for a while. I mean, I don't want to waste my own time, but
did you
just
guys
like
record it?
no, I didn't get to. I didn't know that it was going to be so glorious until it was already, and then it was over.
How many people did you stack up and how did it end?
I mean, really, I only messed with I targeted just one person, like a true scumbag bully, and every time they unsummoned their boat and tried to move it to a different location, I would just kind of sail over there and I actually ended up tricking the physics engine out and tipping the person's boat over with them in it. But it's just like, for some reason, and this all comes down to, I think the greatest feature of Archage is the fact that their collision works well. Because basically, if you have a little rowboat, you could get like 5 dudes to come and jump on it, and they'll just stick to it like it's a piece of land. And you would see normally a game where people would slide off stuff like that, but they don't shy away from that at all. So you could just get like the smallest little pea boat full of dudes and just kind of row up and wreak havoc. I think that's awesome.
So was there any nerd rage happening? Did anybody
I
write you a
turned off.
nasty message?
I turned off my chat, so there could have been. You get a lot of people riding by on horses while you're running on the ground that are like fag, but most of the time it's in good fun. I think a lot of people are really enjoying the freedom of a game like this because there are no PvE servers in Archage, which is so refreshing. Even though there are like safe areas, the fact that they just went so far as to say, no, we're not going to have like a pussy mode server, I think that is good, and I think that bodes well for the future, especially if the game is going to do well. And it is. I mean, it's already doing pretty well.
At what point can one reasonably expect to be attacked while they're out killing mobs or just doing whatever they're doing?
Well, you pretty much know if you're in that position. There are warring areas on the 2 main continents where the factions exist, and on those areas you can. There are quests for both sides to complete, so you can expect to get murdered that way. There's also the open ocean is basically a unrestricted murder zone, which is just like real life. Talk to the Somalians about that. But,
So is this done like Warhammer? Where people kind of come together in various quest zones. Their quests would more or less intersect.
I'd say it's more open than that, because, like I said, like the ocean is where everybody kind of ends up on the ocean towards the middle and the end of the game, because the way that I'd have to back all the way up to go through what trade packs are and everything to kind of explain why they end up there, but the most valuable rewards are as a result of sailing a trade item out into the middle of the ocean to a small island and turning it in. So anywhere in between, somebody could come in and basically just plunder everything you have. So you see there's a lot of unscripted PvP that's just, you don't see it coming, but you know it's there.
At what level do you expect to more or less engage in this?
It starts early on, because the way that the trade system works is they develop sort of caravan routes, where the longer you transport a trade pack that you craft, which is like a crafted item, and they all have rarities and they're all varying difficulties. The further you transport one, the more reward you get when you arrive. And while you're carrying one, you move very slowly. So even on the continent, there's a risk of you getting PvP'd and somebody relinquishing your trade pack, and then they would have to move slowly to turn it in somewhere. And based on how many have been turned into that particular location of that type, you get a different reward. It's a cool system. It gets people moving around, and it gets people fighting meaningful fights instead of just fighting to grief.
At what level would you create a trade pack?
I'm not there yet. I mean,
So you have no experience with this.
I'm still early on. I would recommend anybody goes and who's interested in learning about this to just go to YouTube and look up Bike Man and Archage, because he's a pretty popular Twitch streamer. He's probably the only one I can stand. Kind of a funny guy, but he goes through and explains all this stuff, and he played all the way through the alpha phase, so he's got a lot more information than I do. And I'll be looking at it eventually. I'm just kind of I don't want to go too hard into it early on before I even get a chance to enjoy it.
Sounds kind of like you're scared.
Yeah, I'm terrified. It's a video game, and it makes me like
Pride is
let
on the
out
line.
little bits of urine each time. Another thing I will say about Archage is that they let you create probably the ugliest characters in the history of MMOs, and I thought Age of Conan was the worst. If you remember the customization in Age of Conan, you could do like
Oh, yeah.
brows down to here and like crazy spikes and weird mouths and stuff. There was a there was a cat person that posted their picture on Reddit, and it looked like a horror, like freak show. I think I sent you that picture earlier.
Oh, I
Did I
thought
not
that
send
was you.
No, no, I am not that amazing.
So, so far, what do Brett and Josh think about the game?
Well, okay. Josh keeps crashing, so he likes it until that happens. It's kind of a piece of shit from a technical standpoint. Like lots of people are having technical problems with it, but you know, we're still pretty early on. You don't even know what and this is the biggest flaw I think of Archage. I'm not going to call it Archage anymore.
I'm going for Archage.
Archage. The biggest flaw of
You
Archage.
say Archage, I'll say Archage.
How about Archage?
Yes.
The biggest flaw of Archage is I lost my fucking train of thought.
So Brett keeps dropping like a madman because he has a fucking tandy.
No, that's Josh. But
Josh has a fucking tandy?
I think the biggest flaw is just that you don't get into the fun part until so late. Like you got to get to level 20, which probably takes, I mean, realistically 2 or 3 hours. It's not like super long, but you don't even like really know the full extent of what you're doing until later on. You know, when you're building ships and you're building houses and you're actually going out into the sandbox. Because before that, it's kind of a cookie cutter, grind out quests type of a thing. But then when you get through that, you could like herd goats to level 50, you know, if you wanted to. You could pretty much just do anything you want to get to the max level at that point.
Why did you guys re-roll?
I reroll all the time. I'm a serial rerollist.
Why?
Just because. I mean, I don't like my eyebrows, or you know, I want to have like some slightly different character, and I don't want to pay for a respec.
Okay,
So,
how much is respec?
I don't know. I don't even know the answer. It could be nothing. It could be free. I just reroll because I have a
You'd
sickness.
just rather spend 3 hours redoing those levels.
Yeah, because it's important. Super important
It
that
is
my
important.
character looks like a black vampire.
So what else about Arcade? I mean, how many rerolls have you done, and how many levels have you gotten to? Are you
Oh,
capped
just
right
two.
now?
Just two. I'm at about level 15.
2 to 15? 2 characters to level 15?
Yeah. That's about my... Because I only play for like one night, and then I
Why,
reroll again.
why did you buy a subscription?
For the fucking queue times, man. No. They give you... First of all, the main feature of the game, as far as I'm concerned, is the land ownership. And you can't do that unless you are subscribed to the game. You can't run a farm, and you can't build a house. I mean, you can do pretty much anything else, but the farms are important, especially if you want to have, you know, renewable resources without having to buy them.
And what is a sub run? Is that $15?
Yes, it's prototype.
What else about Arcade, man? Or
Yeah.
Archage?
I don't know enough about the Archage to comment too much further on it.
All right, yeah, I plan to get into it, but I refuse to queue. And,
Yeah, queues are for bitches. If you see any kind of a queue, just like install the game.
Yeah. All right, tell me
Wait 'em
about
up.
tryhards, because I'm trying hard to get in the game. So does that make me a tryhard, and why do you hate me?
If you had a specific method on how to get in the game.
Okay, this is
And if
very Boolean
anybody
of you. Very Boolean structured. Go
if
ahead.
anybody decided to try a different method at getting into the game and you called them names and insisted that your way was the correct way and forced them to do it that way, then you would be a tryhard. And I think Dota 2 is probably one of the biggest cesspools for these personality types, these defects. You've seen them. You know who I'm talking about.
Dude, I've been them.
You
Yeah,
have
Dota
not.
2. Oh, I'll tell you what. Dota 2 will test any man's tryhardness. I swear to God. Dude, I was playing Dota 2, and it started like this. First, I knew nothing. And then when I knew something, like I had an idea of how to win, I just found that I was kind of impatient or something, like douchey. Impatient's a bad word. I became a little bit of a douchebag. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, like telling people do this, do that, and if they don't do it and you're cool with that, good, because you're just giving them like some guidance and leadership. Nothing wrong with that. I'll be honest, if somebody's playing a game with me and they're like, hey, go over here, do this and that, and they're not getting pissed and we're just playing, and I do it and we can come together, it makes the victory more fun because you planned it out, you execute a strategy. But when people are like, hey, come do this, and you don't do it, and they're like, why the fuck didn't you do that? Now we're going to lose. And they're like slamming their mouse around and stuff. I can't stand that. And I never got that bad, but I got to say, I don't know. I felt, at least internally, like I was a little douchey. Now I don't feel so douchey about it. But I noticed that
Man,
Dota 2, it brings it out of you.
you know how many of these high school kids playing this game have told me, man, I bet I'm older than you. I bet you're like 12. All right. I have a child. I'm like a married adult, and
So you're an 11-year-old with a baby.
these people are running up on me like they're gonna teach me how to play a video game. Like I give any kind of a shit what they think. I
I'm an
don't play games like
adult.
if I'm
Not
gonna
going to be a part of that system. All right, sorry. Have you seen that?
you can't buy me a hot dog, man.
I'm an adult. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm just saying, like, if people are taking the game too seriously and it becomes immediately evident, I almost like operate the opposite direction. I'm like worse at the game intentionally just because I know it's gonna irk somebody.
So, okay, so just for my clarification, a tryhard is somebody that, A, let me break this down into bullet points. They try hard,
Oh
but
yeah, like they
B,
they
they're a
don't
douchebag.
they don't enjoy the game. They don't play a game. They're like living a system of instructions that they found on YouTube on a pro video. And any kind of deviation or creativity is just anathema to these people.
If you play to win, are you a tryhard?
If you're playing to win, you're not a tryhard. Everybody wants to win. If you don't want to win, then why are you playing a competitive game? But it's all about how you win, style points. And I don't think, I mean, I would say that most tryhards, their style is completely derivative as opposed to somebody who tries to kind of, just enjoy the game. And I get it. There's probably somebody that's played with somebody like me, and I don't buy wards, and they're like yelling into the microphone until one of their blood vessels in their eyes rupture. But that's not me. I'm a laid back dude. I'm gonna play a game to enjoy it, and I'm okay not winning 100% of the time. I win most of the time, but it's not because I'm like trying hard. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm part of the grunge generation, but we don't try at anything. It's totally uncool.
Fire, fire, burning fire. So,
Burn
so,
with the flames of flame burn.
so if somebody tells you, if they say, hey, Mig, we go buy some wards, is that offensive to you, or do you just do it or don't, or what's the deal? Come
I
on,
mean,
feel the noise.
for the most part, if somebody tells me to do something that I already know, I mean, I've already done it. So there's no reason to tell me to do it.
But what if you've forgotten? Like, for example, I have no problem. Somebody says, "Hey, Ryan, go pick up some sentries or something."
No,
That
my
doesn't bother
immediate
me at all.
My immediate reaction when somebody says, we need wards over and
You
over,
pull your pee-pee out of your pants and shove it up to your webcam?
is just to say, you get them, because if they're so important. But
You get them, sir.
I play ability draft, so the rules in ability draft are a little bit more flexible. There aren't carries as much, so you can't just tell people what to do, especially if my score is better than you, because then I'm like, what's going on here?
Does ability draft follow the same ranking and game setup as the normal
What do you mean
matchmaking?
ranking?
The matchmaking system that exists now. So, level, 100 or 50, whatever the max is, they're not going to play a level 1.
You talking
They
about
try to match you up with other level 40 to 50s.
with MMR? Yeah, I think there's an MMR. It's probably looser because there aren't as many people playing that version. But I mean, there are tiers because we play on low priority queue sometimes, and the difference is stark. But I enjoy low priority queue. You ever been slumming on LP queue?
I don't slum on anything because it seems like it always takes me 3 to 5 minutes to get a game, and I'm just too impatient, number one. And
Yeah.
number two, lately I've just had kids gone wild. They're always knocking at my door, attacking me. Seriously, like today, I had some kids that want to fight, so they're like, "Hey, Dad, I want to challenge this person." I'm like, "Oh, like a kid's teasing another kid, so they want to wrestle it out." And
Yeah, because
I gotta go
you're
take care of
running
that.
like a gladiatorial
I'm running
household.
the Agogi over here. Let's just call it what it is. The Agogi. Speaking
You
of that,
got,
I got to shift it here for a second because I feel like you lied to me the other day. So change it from the love machine to the great prevaricator. All right. The
I,
mendicant man. All right. Anyway, here's have you seen 300?
yes.
I'm looking at you in your webcam, by the way. Nobody else can see me. I'm hiding my nudity right now. Okay. Have you seen 300 Part 2, whatever the fuck that's called?
No.
I swear to Christ, I thought I saw you tweet something that said the 300 Part 2 was actually pretty good.
No, I didn't. I have never seen it.
Okay.
So it
Holy
must have
shit.
been.
I'm living in like an alternate reality here. This is nuts. My memory is saying I read that. Wow, crazy. I better hang up the webcam. All right. So
Change my
moving
subtitle.
right along, let's let me ask you a question about video game nerd rage. What's the worst case you've seen?
Nerd
Uh,
rage.
yes, Miguelito, AKA Timberlake enthusiast.
I think nerd rage is a young man's game.
Have you ever nerd raged?
As a pup, I certainly have. I think it's not so much about age as it is about how many games you've played in the past. Because I think we all become desensitized eventually to failure, and you'll notice. I mean, occasionally something won't go someone's way, and they'll freak out and eat half their pillow or something. I don't know.
Tell us about your own personal nerd rage episode. Your best one.
You,
Pick one.
well,
Pick the
I mean,
best one.
when I was younger, like in middle school, playing Ultima Online, I had like dents in my wall where I would punch every time somebody get killed me.
You're like
But
fucking IP man, it man.
that is not that's not me anymore.
What would your mom do? Would she just come in and cock slap you or what?
No, she had her own problems.
Dude, if my son, I'll be honest, if my son was raging on a game such that he punched the wall, I'd probably take him down and pound him out right then and there. That'd be fucking weird.
What is define pound him out? Are you talking about going all Adrian Peterson on him?
I'd go straight Adrian Peterson on him, and then every news network would drop real news and talk about
Yeah.
me and everybody else that's ever dropped a beating on somebody in their life, as if that was the most important, need-to-know news in the country and world at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. Sports Center is fucking a reality show now
They're a
that's
bunch of
about
fake-ass nerds.
it's about the world's strongest men beating women and children like 24/7. It makes me really afraid for the world.
Well,
But
like anything is new. As if
No,
that's new. I remember when I was in college hearing about Randy Moss. Is that his name?
maybe.
Guy named Moss. Fuck, he plays football.
Yeah, Randy Moss,
Randy Moss.
receiver.
Okay. And he had beaten his girlfriend and was like, I don't know, like on cocaine or something. See, I didn't even remember about you and the 300, so I'm probably making this story up right now. But he beat his girlfriend doing something with like he was high as a kite when he did it and shit. And actually, the guys on the football team, they're like, we're gonna fuck this guy up. And in that game, they tried to, and they actually hit him hard. He was down for a minute, and then he got up, and then he fucking scored all over our asses. But anyway, that's always happened. So
Yeah.
why now does the news feel that it's the most important hashtag of the day? Jesus
It's
Christ, Miguelito, I'm
it's
gonna
the same
slap you.
reason. It's the same reason why sports news anchors are being replaced by just political pundits. Pundits,
Yeah,
pundits,
no N. No N. You can add an N. For you,
poundins,
there's an N. Pundits. Okay.
pundits. Like Keith Olbermann, he has a show on ESPN now. That fucking
What?
scumbag.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait. That dude's back?
yeah, he's on SportsCenter and he's talking about shit he has no fucking clue about, just like
Who cares?
always.
Who cares? It's about his drama, his flair. Keith
Yeah,
Olbermann is welcome to the political
but
game, to the sports game, you name it, because he's got the drama. He brings some entertainment.
the biggest thing is you kept up with the Ray Rice thing, right? About how he gave his wife a hard left in an elevator.
I heard about it. I don't keep up
Okay.
with bullshit.
Yeah, don't watch the video. It's fucking disturbing. But it turns out because they suspended him for 2 games, which is like, wow, what a fucking penalty for beating your wife. You get more games suspension for smoking weed. If that's a commentary on. But
Really?
then they came back after people were like 2 games for punching your wife when you're one of the world's strongest people. All right, and they then banned him from the league. Well, there's a rule against double jeopardy in this country, and the players' union has that instituted. So basically, what that did was it turned the NFL into the bad guys in their case against a wife beater. So he's going to be able to sue them and be reinstated and win and maybe get some money out of the deal. Uh, Meanwhile, his wife is shocked that he would have been suspended in the first place because
I did
I don't
hear
know.
that. She's upset because this
Yeah,
controversy is ruining her lifestyle.
her
And he
financial
recently got
lifestyle.
paid. He just got paid out 25 mil. It looks like they're going to be able to keep that. Last I heard, and no, I've not been following this one bit, but because every goddamn news channel, talk radio channel, everybody, they keep mentioning it, you can't help but hear something. And
Like it's real fucking news.
this is
Like
not real news. It's a real travesty.
it
That's
is.
for sure. And it's
But
bullshit. And you know what? Basically, they should take Rice and they should stick him in the arena with, some UFC guys, and let's see how tough he is there. Because he'd get fucking smoked. He'd get hammered.
uh,
No. He's strong. He can fucking run. That doesn't mean you could punch. You know what?
God, I've had this argument before.
There's a
UFC
distinct
fighters,
Distinct
UFC
difference.
fighters, they have training. They can fight. I still don't think pound for pound they're anywhere close to as strong as most NFL players.
They don't need to be as strong. Look, my son, he can shatter my nose if he hits it dead on. He's not nearly as
Come
strong
on.
as me. He's
Come
not
on, buddy.
nearly as strong.
But we're
Absolutely.
talking about a guy
My
who
daughter,
runs.
she's 11 years old. If she caught my arm in a in an arm bar, she could pop it. My wife sticks me in a triangle, easily choke me out as long as she gets there.
But they couldn't do that to an NFL running back. He would just lift them up with one arm and throw them across the room, and then
Dude,
maybe give them a hard left in an elevator because that's their style.
John Jones would
These people are
ruin.
not. These people have not gone through their life without fighting. I mean, a lot of these guys come from like rough areas.
Go look at street fights on YouTube. You're gonna find nothing impressive except for Kimo, okay? Because Kimo's got such a hard fucking head, and he's got fists like boulders, okay? That's
talking
why
about
Kimo is awesome.
Talking
Kimbo,
about Kimbo,
not
Kimbo
Kimo.
Slice, but
Yeah,
Kimbo
Kimbo.
Slice went into the UFC and did average.
Yes.
But we're talking
Kimbo
about a
Slice
guy
would
who's been
fuck
trained
up.
by scientists to be one of the world's strongest humans. I mean,
Strength,
these
isn't
aren't.
it? Look at Hoist Gracie. He went up and he fought back in the early UFCs. He was fighting Frank Shamrock, who was strong and ripped very athletic. This skinny dude, he just kept taking dudes out because he'd choke them. That's all you got
But
to do, choke, and he'd hurt them.
I think at a certain point there's a density of a person, and these people, it's like UFC fighters. They might be strong looking or whatever. I don't know, but I don't think they're on the, because if they were on the level of an athlete, like a real athlete, a basketball player, a football player, they'd be doing that, making a lot more money.
No,
Uh, so
no,
you gotta wonder.
no, not at all. I'll tell you what, fighting is an entirely different coordination. For example, you dribble a ball down a court. I'm not very good at that.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not so
you
bad at boxing. I've got a buddy. He came over. We put the gloves on. Do you understand? He had no context of what his fight. Oh, I boxed a dude. Now this. I'm not saying this is impressive. He benches 400 pounds. He played college football. I didn't do that. I never benched 400 pounds. I never played college football. I fucked him up in a boxing match, and this guy was dense to me. At least I fucked. He couldn't even hit me. Okay.
did you get a license? Did you license the match?
No, I didn't. But the point is that it's a different skill. Now, if he and we went toe to toe in football, I can't remember what it was. I think it was a running back, some Texas school. I can't fucking run a football. You will tackle my lanky ass and my fat lanky ass. I'm down. You'll snap my knees. That's it. But you go into a different sport. It takes different. Just like look at Bo Jackson. Awesome.
Well, okay.
Football and baseball. But how many people can do football and baseball? He was one who was good at both.
You know a guy, one of the world's best athletes named Herschel Walker, who actually
you showed me that a while ago.
He did pretty well. He did pretty well in MMA in his
amateur
40s.
Okay, but two things. First of all, I don't refute a man as an animal with the physical ability and innate ability to be able to do two sports. Like I said, Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
But the average football player, no. I'll tell you what. Dude, I am a fat and right now naked. Okay, dude. And I can't say that in general I fear football players. That is not a fear of mine. I'll fucking kick his knees out. Big fucking that is not a scary thing to me. But if you said, "Hey, like gosh, who's that guy? Alistair Overeem? Look his ass up. He wants to fight you." I'd be like, "Oh shit. Mike Tyson's looking at you and he wants to fucking chew your ear off." I'm not excited about that. I'm like, okay, wait, let me have Miguelito be my champion here for a minute. Okay?
You got guys like Brock Lesnar who came out of, he was a college football player. He wasn't even good enough to play in the NFL. And look at what a physical freak he is.
He is a freak. I mean, now look at, by the way, I'm not going to fight Shaquille O'Neal. That guy's a fucking giant.
Don't fight Shaquille O'Neal.
There's no way.
I know. Or, I mean, even Charles Barkley. Because he might look like doughy up there, but that guy, I mean, he was always big, and he could, like, dunk and shit. Not to mention, you don't get on Space Jam without being able to rough somebody up. I think all those Space Jam guys got to be pretty tough, right?
Well, dude, all I know is, if somebody is, like, 10 feet tall, and they've got tree trunks for arms and legs, just physics, dude. They're going to fucking knock you into outer space. But let's pair them up against a UFC fighter like John Jones. No, my money's on John Jones. Or how about
maybe
who's that one dude in Brazil who snapped his leg in half? He's awesome. Anderson Silva. Okay?
Yeah.
He's like 180 pounds. I'll put him against any football player in a fight. And 180
any
pounds,
football player.
Any football player. He'll knock them the fuck out.
See, okay.
Because they can't hit him. They can't hit him. I mean,
you just have to wonder, because I mean, a lot of these guys, they're kind of cross-trained in like jiu-jitsu and stuff, just especially like the defensive tackles. Huh?
I mean, that's new. If they're cross-trained jiu-jitsu, that's new, and then that gives them some game. But we're talking about
these are people that like they're making millions of dollars just by the fact that they were born with physical characteristics that no one else was born with. I mean, you just got to wonder. They're starting at a point that's so much higher. And to say that he could beat up any NFL player, you're dead wrong. I mean, there's got to be at least
one
guy in there.
Okay. Like Bruce Lee said, there's always going to be somebody faster, stronger, whatever. Yes, I've subscribed to that. But I'm telling you is that if I'm gonna bet on somebody, okay, we're going to do a random roll of the dice, and we're going to pick 10 dudes. and then we're gonna have Anderson Silva. He gets to fight any one of those dudes that Miguelito picks out from the random roll. I'll bet on Anderson Silva before seeing the roll. You've got moves. You've got
Yeah, I
moves.
mean,
You have a Wing Chun dummy in your backyard? Seriously. I mean, look at that. Holy
I
shit.
got the swivel down. I mean, I've got the two fingers attack, and the other two fingers.
What we
So,
gotta realize is just because you can run a ball like a fucking tank down the field, it doesn't mean you have the killer instinct to
well,
know
not
when to
only run
strike.
a ball, but dodge or run over 300 to 400-pound people that are trained to like assassinate you mid-run.
With their big fucking bodies, which is totally different than somebody picking
Yeah,
you
but
apart
but in
punch
the
for
end,
punch.
if a guy is that fast, because these guys are fast, they're quick, they have reflexes. If a guy like that ends up tackling one of these guys, I don't know, man, because I don't think you could bar them that easily. I think they're too dense. But
Dude, there's
I don't know. This is a gaming
there's like a whole
podcast. Did you?
there's like this is a game though, football, and it's going to segue right perfectly into our league conversation. I just got to say, I don't know. There's a whole technique to punching. Not every that's what I'm saying. It's a skill to hit hard. Yeah, Miguelito's punching me,
Hair
guys.
knuckles. Look at the hair.
Look at a minute 29,
Oh.
and you will see, a fucking ISIS on YouTube.
ISIS. That's
Say
fucked up.
hello to the Shah.
I've been accused. All right.
So let me ask him. Okay, you said you haven't seen the show The League.
No.
Do you subscribe to Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, you know what? I hate to be the guy that says, "Oh, you got to see this." So I don't say it that strongly. But I'll tell you what. If you're looking for a little comedy show, check it out. I think it's funny, and honestly, I don't understand how writers can write that. Check it out.
What I mean, what kind of comedy are we talking about here? I mean, is it like a dry kind of a comedy, or is it like a I'm telling jokes kind of a comedy, or
I'm not really qualified to say. I don't know if I can articulate. It's
tell
basically
me
guys.
the
Okay, so guys are hanging out.
Socratic form of comedy.
They're saying dry, funny things, mocking each other, and they're
Yeah.
all in constant competition within their fantasy football league.
So it's like a snark fest.
It's a snark fest, and it's funny, witty. I don't know how fucking people could think of these funny things to say. I mean, my IQ is probably like 33. That would explain a lot. But these guys are quick, and obviously it's not them; it's the writers, unless they're bringing their own gifts to bear. But I honestly don't know how anybody.
If
thinks
your
that.
IQ was 33, all right, we're going to interpret this literally. You would barely notice if a fly landed on your eyeball.
And you see a fly in my eyeball right now. See
That
that?
is pretty low. But you do things like podcast in the nude and
High
you know,
IQ.
have
That
some
gives me a few points right there, right?
shoulder frecklage.
More IQ point. It's this infrared light. Okay, so let me ask you this. So you haven't seen the league. Okay, but you know about fantasy football. Do you partake in any fantasy football?
2 leagues.
Okay, I've got to ask you. Tell me about that.
Tell you about fantasy
What is
football?
it? Okay, in this show, they've got this awesome computer interface. They log into their picks, their drafts, their trades. They've got to lock their lineup, like an hour or two before the game. They've got stats and graphs and all sorts of beautiful things, widgets left and right. What's your fantasy football league like?
Well, we use Yahoo Fantasy Football.
Why,
So
Ryan, I'll tell you this. Let me tell you this. It's a graph paper, and I've got my number 2 pencil. And what I do, and I'm going to tell you this once, only because I like you.
Hold
I
on a
mark
minute
the
now.
box, and I say, I want Joe Bob Tanner. And if I
Hold
don't
on.
have Joe Bob Tanner, I'll tell you what, I am not going to play this year.
Slow your roll there.
So that's your cue to go text him. And then
That
talk
is
about
that is the opposite. We're talking about a complex mechanism of, reporting and spreadsheets but it's all automated. I mean, most people that do it, they probably watch the game, so they have kind of, feel it out kind of approach. But there's some people that pay for, special analysis and things like that, and it's worthless, man. Like you want to trust these ex-athletes to tell you about things when they, I mean, you know what kind of people we're dealing with. Like it's like when Troy Aikman goes out there and tries to talk about football, and then he has like 2-minute periods of time where his pupils dilate and he can't say anything because of all the concussions.
No, I totally understand that. I mean, a
Well,
guy
as you can
understands.
see, he threw the ball over there, and it looked. What
For those
happened?
that aren't
What happened?
watching on YouTube,
What
Miguelito,
happened?
for he's showing the pupil dilation of Troy Aikman.
Yeah, I lit up right there.
Yeah, no, I
It's
totally
pretty
get that.
intense, man. Like I'm not as into it as a lot of people are, but we do an auction draft that introduces more than just a level of round robin drafting. It's also a trying to outbid people while also sandbagging other people. There's a lot of strategy to it, and I enjoy that. I mean, I enjoy that aspect of it, but I don't know, man. Like it's just a little hobby that you spend about an hour a week on, and that's it.
Now, do you enjoy it still, and how long have you been doing it?
I enjoy it. I've been doing it for about 4 years. The reason why I enjoy it is because I like football, and it gives you an excuse to watch more football than just what you'd normally be interested in. You become more than just a fan of a team. You become a fan of individuals that you want to like do well for you, as well as being able to watch people and hoping they don't do well, which is equally as good, I think. But I don't know. If you like football, you should try it out. I think most people that watch football have tried it out,
Are
especially
you
if
are you
they're.
in a league with your friends, or are you in an anonymous league? Basically, you just
I'm in
online.
one league that is my sister's work league that they just needed an extra person. It's kind of my phone-in league because they're not too serious about it. And then I'm in a league where we pay, in at the beginning, and there's payouts based on the top scorer each week, and then the winner of the league at the end.
What kind
And
of
that's
payout?
my well, it's just percentages of what everybody paid in. It's not that much. I mean, it's like $30 a person and for 12 or 13 people.
Well, I'll tell you what I can do with $30, Miguelito.
Buy yourself a good saddle and a hat.
I get
So,
myself just a strip of leather for that perfect saddle that I'm going to build someday.
am I reverting? Oh God, it's happening. You can't
It's
talk like
happening.
that
Wait, no, it's
because
happening, and I am proud to bear witness to that happening.
when
Don't stop on my account.
no, when people talk like that, it comes back out because
I'll
that
tell
was
you
my.
what, Michael, I'm going to keep on talking like this.
No, you're
Y'all,
not going to do that.
y'all good boys down there.
Oh my God, all my
How's
all
my
my nerd
accent?
credibility. It's
Is it
fucking
any,
terrible. That's
dude?
one of the worst. You
I
sound
feel like
like
I could blend in.
you sound like Reese Witherspoon trying to do a Texas accent.
Well, maybe that's where I learned my
That's
Texas
my goal.
accent.
Hey, Reese Witherspoon is a class act, despite I guess what people have heard recently. But she is not good at speaking like a Texan. Um, Now on the subject of TV shows, because we're going down this road, have you seen True Detective?
I have seen True Blood,
True Detective.
but not True
I'm
Detective. I've
talking.
actually not seen True Blood. No, I've not.
It's another one of those HBO shows, I think, and it's starring Matthew McConaughey and oh shit, was his name? Woody Harrelson,
I like both those dudes.
and it's a TV show with those two guys as the lead roles, as you can imagine. I mean, those guys are movie stars basically, and they're in this role, but it's worth watching just because Matthew McConaughey is just so convincingly crazy, and you never see him like that. He's always kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. But
HBO?
I think so. I think it's on HBO, but it's also on the internet illegally. Not that I would ever advise anyone to do something like that. I'm just saying if you have
Why,
to.
kiddies, we don't want to advise you to go get
But
illegal on the
but
internet searches.
you have HBO Go, right? So you could do
No,
that.
no, no,
No,
no.
you don't?
No, the
Shit.
only HBO I have is we do Prime. So basically, we don't do any cable at all. We gave that up because
Yeah.
with Netflix and Prime, I've got so many fucking shows to watch. It's incredible. And Prime recently made a deal with HBO where they're showing like I think 15 different series. I just watched Deadwood. Speaking of a show to watch, have you ever seen Deadwood?
Only when I look down.
Perpetually Deadwood. Now I
It's
definitely
dead.
recommend anybody who
It's
has not
dead
seen
because I
Deadwood.
killed it with needles.
Well, check it out. Check out Deadwood. It's good.
I
You
will.
like cowboyish things and gold
I'm checking
mining.
it out right now.
Check it out. Go ahead. Oh shit, he's looking down. It is dead. It was never wood. We're talking about dead rubber. Um,
You know, because it's stiff and it cracks and falls off.
okay, so going back to the league, I want to take you back there. The
Shit.
reason I brought that up was actually to circle around to MMOs and Dota, i.e., well, in the context of esports. Could there be any sort of fantasy league, do you think, for esports?
Oh, man. I think while I hope for humanity's sake that there isn't, because I don't want the world to get that much lazier than they already are, I feel like that's plausible. And not only plausible, but because of the ability to get real-time updates and actual, like, real unimagined statistics out of it, it would be pretty compelling from a fantasy standpoint.
What would be better? I mean, it obviously seems to be more suited towards, let's say, League of Legends or Dota, because you could follow individual members. And by the way, I've been watching the show The League, in case I didn't tell you. I still don't know how fantasy football works. They're talking about picking up individual players, then they're talking about my team beat your team. I have no idea what they're talking about, but what I do know is they're following teams, players, who knows? So with Dota, it seems like you could do something like that because there are leagues established, and sometimes people have good
Absolutely.
games. They've got scores like last hits, kills, deaths, assists, all that stuff. So, I mean, how feasible do you think this is? And number two, do you think that we should develop a platform to cater to fantasy Dota, fantasy LOL,
I try and make a
fantasy
point to
Miguelito?
never be part of a project that I would despise the user base of. So I'm not really interested in developing that platform because I hate esports enough to the point to where if there were people that were fans of esports, I think I would hate them even more.
Why?
But
What's your contention?
it's just like it just doesn't feel like a feat of amazingness. Like a real sport, you have people that are doing things that I don't feel like I could do. Like these are people that are born with a certain set of skills. With esports, I just feel like any amount of virginity that you put out there, you could probably get pretty good at esports.
So, let me get the equation right. More virginity in, more success out.
Yes, exactly. If you pump your veins full of virginity and Surge, which is back on the market now, by the way, big news. I think Surge plus Virginity, they would both have a, a proportional outcome. You're losing your mind.
Oh shit!
But I don't think I'm saying anything that anybody is not thinking already. I mean, even people that play esports, they know how much sex they're having. Not
Dude,
much.
most of them they can't. It's like an impossibility. Okay, but I'll tell you what. Now, just to be contrary from,
I'm so good at StarCraft. Well,
I was
fucking
number
great.
one in my league. Um,
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Now this is what a vagina looks like.
now my. You know what? Okay, I'm laughing for like 15 reasons. Not going to bore everybody to death with all 15, but the one thing that is really funny about this is these guys take themselves so seriously, and they really do. And
Oh
not
yeah,
just,
with
and we're
their
not
with
talking
their
try
soul
hard.
patches.
They actually think they're fucking like something beyond what you are. And I think you're great. I think what you do in your life and everything else, that's great. But I don't think this e-gamer is anything better. But I'll tell you what, his ego is so inflated that he thinks he is, and that's what's funny to me. And then when you bring them down with your virginity comments, I loves it.
But
So
look at this. I mean, all right. If you had to compare it with another sport, like a real sport, I would say that it's the closest to amateur bowling leagues. And hear me out. The reason why I would say that is because they all have fucking tricked out shirts and shit that say like Team Lobos or whatever. I just like a fucking bowling league, right? And they're all like fat and hairy and weird, but they think that they're doing something that's important. Like you roll a 300 in bowling, that's amazing. But I know 3 people that have done that in my life. So, I mean, I don't know anybody who's won a Super Bowl. But I mean, it's not a real thing. You're playing a video game.
wait, let me defend. Okay. In their
Defend
defense,
bowlers. I'm putting down bowlers too
I
much.
can't. I can't defend. Okay, I can't defend bowlers. I could defend dudes that are doing like 280 to 300 because their elbows are fucking on fire. They like know how to roll that shit down lane. About these e-gamers though, to defend, and there is truth in what I'm saying. There's a certain skill that, let's say, for example, shooters. I used to play Counter Strike back in the day when it first came on the market. I'd play it with my brother. He sat on the computer. We had a computer room in the back of our house. He sat behind me. We'd be in the same game, and he'd fucking rule people. He's not hacking. He's doing nothing. He's got a computer that's maybe a tad faster than mine. Maybe I had the voodoo card, bitch. Okay, and he'd win like, I'm gonna exaggerate just because it's more fun, but he'd win every fucking match. I don't mean win as in beat me. His name would consistently be at the top of the boards, and just about nobody could touch him unless it was lucky. And he wasn't cheating. There was nothing to it. He was just good. I wasn't good. I'm like 50%. You know, once in a while I get top 3, but most of the time I hover around the 50% mark, just average. And my brother, I just trying to keep up with him, trying to maintain that pace. He has something else going on, and there, true. It's not like football, but it's something. It's something.
But so answer me this:
special.
during that period of time, how much sexual intercourse was he having? Would you say medium to low?
I would honestly say that he's one of the most laid guys I know.
Oh, okay. So
No,
like
he was like Army infantry, and he's just a
yeah,
regular dude. You'd love him to pieces, and completely athletic. I mean, when I say completely athletic, not like star football player, but able to
yeah.
do a lot of different things. He was pretty strong. We go to the gym. He fucking could like
Well, but
outwork me.
it's an ability that I think I still feel like okay, and also age has a lot to do with it because of neural degeneration. I don't think you see a lot of esports people that are like 40s and 50s just
No,
because.
dude. Yeah, I was living it. Yeah, we had that computer room when I'm 40. No, I was maybe 23 and he's 20. It's 3 years difference.
Yeah,
Come on,
but
23. Neural degeneration? No.
no, but
Brain
that's
was fully
that's
formed
what I
at
mean
25.
is I think in a certain period of time there are people that are uncoordinated. There are people that are better at hand-eye. There are people that have better reflexes
This is a blow at me.
naturally.
What an asshole.
But you're never going to see one of these people do something that like I will never see a person accomplish anything in a video game and say like, "Whoa, you're like a hero. You should have a trophy for that." Because there's just nothing. It's like even given the best latency possible, and there's just too many milliseconds that for something that's virtual like that, I just can't accept that there's not just a degree of your hardware is responsible or oh whatever. There's just too many things in the equation that have
Okay,
nothing
what
to do
about
with
when
your
all things are equal? They go to tournaments, everything is equal.
well, there's always
Then you got
latency
badasses.
even over a local area network. There's latency, but
Okay, I think they do
you're also
everything
talking about a
possible to
game.
mitigate that.
Well, yeah, it is, and that's why esports are bullshit.
All right, here's the deal. Once again, I'm going to continue to defend. First of all, I want to make it clear. I agree with you when you compare them to football players, boxers, MMA guys, whatever. Because there's a lot more into it. When you play a field sport, your brain and your body is involved, and your body to a large degree, and
Your
some depending on the
body.
sport, your brain
Your
to a large degree.
sleek body.
But with the esports, there's definitely something above average happening in the brains of guys that dominate. They're able to make decisions more quickly based on previous patterns that they've stored, and they're able to react on these patterns instinctively at a level that the average person is not. And then you take
Amphetamines.
into account their wiring, the brain synapses. Not only are they firing off faster and more frequently, but they're sending the proper finger signals to the fingers. I mean, one example: I'm playing Dota the other day against bots with my son, and I mean we're like coordinating. He's right behind me. We're saying do this, do that. And my fucking fingers are tripping all over the mouse and the keyboard, at certain times. But to the pro guy, there's no tripping. They're just doing it. They're moving. So while they're not my hero, the guys who are expert at that, there's nothing wrong with recognizing they're a cut above, and there's nothing wrong with giving them a little recognition. Especially
Sure,
when
but
virginity is on the line.
we're naturally going to value things as a society. And if you go back to the dawn of
The ancient
civilization,
Greeks.
people have always hoisted up athletes above all others because, at the time they were warriors, and sports were a means for boys to practice their combat.
Those dudes would wrestle naked, ball rubbage.
And it's like people were like, "Whoa, damn, that dude's like strong or whatever." We've pushed it now as a civilization to where people are now so much stronger and faster and larger than they ever have been historically. So it's natural that we would marvel at these people. I'm not going to marvel at some like 5-inch wrist nerd who like chain smokes cigarettes and takes Adderall and can click really fast. It's just not something that I'm ever going to feel like has value, which I understand. I mean, as a gamer, as a person who invests a lot of time in playing video games, you would think I would be a person that would jump in at the defense, but it's like I don't beat Pokemon and go out and like tell everyone about it. Like, come on. It's something that you shouldn't be proud of. It's like a little hobby that you're doing in your spare time. It's not a career. Stop wearing yellow glasses. You look ridiculous. It's not. It just isn't. And I've gotten onto those people. Those people that make those glasses gunner. I made the mistake of tweeting at them about how ridiculous those glasses look, and they actually replied to me and made me feel bad about it.
Well, speaking of Pokemon and tweeting, just the other
Pokemon?
day you tweeted an image with Pokemon eating drumsticks and just savaging bits of meat.
That's important. This is an important topic, and I'm glad you brought this up, because anybody who's aware of Pokemon, in the world of Pokemon exists no animals that are not Pokemon. Alright. Pokemon are fucking empathetic, intelligent creatures, and whenever you see them having dinner, they're like chowing down on meat. And they're eating all this meat, and you know that's a fucking Pokemon that has a soul and understands English. And like, how do they do that? Like, they're eating these drumsticks or these things that like look at them and have magical powers, and they decide, like, how do you decide which one you're gonna eat when you're looking it in the eye and it's like pleading with you and it understands everything you're saying? It's totally a fucked up show, and kids should not be watching it. Not only that, you see like the Pikachu, he's eating the meat too. It's fucking cannibalism.
Dude, the Pikachu was eating the meat the most zealously. His red blush cheeks
He's
were
just
extra red.
chowing down like
Big
Pika
ass
Pika.
smile on his face.
This is Bulbasaur. We're not going to talk about it, but he's out of the show now. I sure am hungry. We're out in the middle of the wilderness. Well, what Pokemon do you have? Oh, these are my best friends, but I'm going to eat their flesh. Like, isn't that a
Whatever
little?
attracted you to that? How did you even see that image?
I just recalled it. Like, randomly, I was thinking, yeah, they eat meat all the time, but there are no like unintelligent animals. These are like magical beasts, and they can't like, rather than just being like vegetarians or whatever. Because I would be a vegetarian if animals like looked up at me and understood everything I was saying. If I had to like look a cow in the face and it was like, cow, And then I had to like,
Okay, vegetarians will tell you, and PETA people will tell you. I'm not saying they're right or wrong.
they're
So
wrong.
everybody who's listening to this, just enjoying your fantasy moment, continue to enjoyment. Continue to enjoy it. We're not passing any judgment. Actually, I pass no judgment. Miguelito, the Timberlake enthusiast, like how I pronounce that, is full of judgment. All right, seriously, they will say that the animals know. In fact, I swear to God, I think it was on a Dirty Jobs where they're culling the pigs, that the pigs knew their death was imminent, and they would try to get away and squeal, and the other pigs who were not sacrificed, they would react to this. Have you never heard of
Mm.
this?
Well, okay. First of all, if they were Pokemon, they would like shoot lightning bolts at you or something if they felt that they were threatened. So they must be sneaking up on these Pokemon to kill and eat them. It's you can't farm these things. They're like powerful. But secondly, whatever. Out of sight, out of mind. Now I'm not a hunter, but I will eat meat that comes out of a package. It's not something that bothers me in the slightest because we have these teeth that are sharp for eating meat, and that's what they're for. So who am I to judge?
Bruce Wayne. He lives in a manor. Ass man, ass man, I will find you. Crank Yankers. I don't know if you ever saw that one. Sorry, you changed your name to Ass Man. It reminded me of the Crank Yankers where this guy calls up and asks for Bruce Wayne.
Ugh,
And she's saying,
don't get me started on Batman.
Bruce Wayne who? He lives in a manor. Wayne Manor. Okay, anyway. Um, Death of MMOs. It's time to shift. It's a hard break, hard shift. I came up with this, and it was a fleeting thought. It's not well thought out, but I thought I'd jot it down, save it for you to tear into 100 pieces. Or you can agree. That's always an option. The concept is this. I was thinking that MMOs seem to have been on the decline ever since there was like the Nerf hammer. Okay, so you've got classes. Various classes are nerfed. People complain. Then they nerf somebody else or they buff somebody else, and on it goes. It's a non-stop train of buffing and nerfing. And I believe that causes people to leave a game that they've been previously enjoying onto another game. And then the same cycle takes place. In my personal experience, I remember playing Dark Age of Camelot. I loved that game. I had a great time. I used to be able to kill guys who conned oranges to me. Conned orange.
Yeah.
And I was a hunter, okay? So I was a Midgard hunter. I could kill an orange dude. But that was only if I got the jump on him, and of course he didn't run away or we did certain things. And that makes sense because the hunter does most of his damage when he comes out. And then depending on what kind of guy you are, I can mow you down.
And
Now,
of course, conned. You're saying you consider them, which is for the layman who might not know what that means. But when you consider an enemy, it shows a color value assigned to how much stronger than you they are. Orange would be just a little bit stronger.
right, and yellow would be challenging. Blue would be you should be able to beat this guy or you're a pussy. Green, fucking kill yourself if you can't beat this guy. Gray, quit the game if you don't kill him. Anyways, guys at Conned Orange, I could take them. Not a 100% guarantee, but a possibility. They did a nerf on the hunter, and there was no way I could hardly touch oranges anymore. That got me thinking thoughts away from DOC, and eventually I shifted off of that into, I can't remember what the next game was. But anyway, and I started to consider that, and it seems to be a pattern prevalent in a lot of MMOs. That the classes, they're not developed and designed for PvP. And PvP is an afterthought, and as a consequence, they're constantly toggling their abilities and their impact which just drives the player base away, especially after they've gotten comfortable with the game. Am I crazy? Am I partially right? Or what?
Okay, well, to preface this, my response, because I agree with you, I always ask when I interview developers if they put a premium on balance or the unique feel of the different play styles. And it's an important question to me. I don't think there's a right answer necessarily, but I think when you look at games that put a premium on having interesting classes that are different, it's not possible to say this is balanced against this because they're so different. I mean, the way that you play is different, so the circumstance would drive the result. But these developers that answer that they think that it's the most important thing to balance a cleric against a mage, they spend so much time dedicated to just saying like, because the reactions that they're reacting to are like the lowest common denominator of vocal minority that get on the forums and complain that they can't beat people, but really they just couldn't beat anybody. But that's not always the case. I'm just saying that when you get to a point to where you're trying to make everything to where it could beat everything else, ultimately all classes become the same. And I think that kills the entire purpose of having any kind of variety. And it certainly would make a game uninteresting and make me quit the game. But I don't care for class systems in general. I think that they're really shallow compared to the alternative.
I understand, but I agree with you. In what world does a cleric, for example, need to beat a warrior? When you have a good cleric, and let's go with the classic archetype, or are we saying archetype? Whatever your
Archetage.
archetype. Okay. When we discuss that, the cleric can keep himself alive and the warrior alive. And so the two of them can maybe take out two warriors, maybe even take out a couple more guys. But without the warrior, the cleric, there's nothing wrong with him being worthless because that's his role. If we're talking about a role-playing game.
And he could survive. He wouldn't necessarily have to even win the fight if he could escape.
He would have to
the
flee.
fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's
And
nothing
that's
wrong
okay.
with fleeing.
And
But
if
they
you're a
made it
pussy.
so that they made it so that the clerics have to have a fighting chance, and therefore the wizards have to. A wizard should not have to have a fighting chance. If he launches a fucking fireball or two at you, yeah, maybe you should die. But if you dodge those or you deflect them and you get up in his face and you chop him with your sword, there's nothing wrong with the wizard.
Or if you
down.
sneak up behind him and stab him between the ribs, I mean, there's no reason why he should be able to say, okay, well, let me reassess my maneuver and like tink away at you until you're dead. It just shouldn't. I mean, there should always be strategic advantage. That's the whole purpose of
Wizardry, yeah, everything, yeah, and people complain about that. So the wizards, they get to get
don't like
backstabbed.
intelligence being a benefit. They would rather have any geek off the street who's not handy with the steel be able to come in and regulate.
Exactly. Well, since you're not contesting this, I have nothing else to say.
No, that's it. We're done. This case closed.
Case is fucking closed. Anybody that dares to open it in the comments section, beware the wrath of the ass man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dude. Shards. Kickstarter. What is up?
Wait. So those are
Let
two
me intro
questions.
that topic again. Shards. Kickstarter. What is up?
Well, first of all, the Shards Kickstarter campaign failed a long time ago. So they're not really related questions, as you might think. But Shards
Why am I talking about it?
because the people that are making Shards are pretty cool people. And basically what the game is, to me, it seems like kind of a mechanism to emulate the popularity of like privately run Ultima Online Shards in a game that's actually built around the idea of individuals hosting their own rule sets. So, if I wanted to start up a shard on shards, my shard could be a sci-fi shard that has unrestricted PvP and housing and things like that, and I define the rules with their scripting engine, and anybody who plays on that is subject to the rules of the cluster or the shard, while somebody else could host a shard with a completely different vision in mind. I think it's a cool idea, even though what's going to probably result is not a sandbox game, but the sandbox itself would be the ability to make kind of your own experience and provide that to other people. I would relate it most probably to what the original Neverwinter Nights vision was, if you're familiar with that, where they kind of made it a game that was about making games
Yeah,
for people to play.
that was
And
awesome. Neverwinter Nights. We're talking about part one, right?
yeah, and
A
the
beautiful
reason why
story.
I played some of the Shards Alpha, um, for a press test that they invited me to, because for whatever reason, I don't know, I guess they think that I'm more important than I am. But
You've got big dead wood.
yes, the gameplay reminded me so much of classic Ultima, just the way that it comes together. It's simple, but there's enough to it to where you can kind of like maneuver and figure your way out. I don't, you're laughing at something.
No, I'm sorry. I was just thinking about how we started off the cast, not as professional as I would want. Sorry. Okay, but why did we have a conversation about shards and Kickstarter? You didn't like that.
It's
You
one of
were
those.
opposed. Am I
Huh?
wrong about that? Should
Oh,
okay.
the thing about Kickstarter, I suspect the reason why it failed is because the crowd that funds games, if you have to explain too much, there's kind of a TLDR effect. And if you don't just say, like, we're making a voxel game that's Minecraft, you typically don't get funded. And they came in with a really intense idea that took a lot of explaining, and I think that once people like got through the first paragraph, they didn't really fully comprehend what it was going to be, and they're really making like the people that would want to fund the game are the people that would want to run the shards to begin with, and I think those people are in the minority. So it wasn't a game suited for crowdfunding, I don't think.
What do you think Richard Garriott thinks about shards?
Uh, he seems to be okay with it, despite it being like a blatant ripoff of the terminology of, it's the shards in Ultima represented the crystal of immortality that shattered and made all these different Britannias, and that's where the term shard came from. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
A little trivia for you. And I asked him actually in the interview I did with him how he felt about that, or if Mondane was going to be cool with them using that terminology, and he said it's totally fine. There's no more laid back dude than Richard Garriott, I don't think.
Now, you told me recently you've had conversations with good old Dick Garriott. Tell us about those, because we all love him. He is the godfather.
Well, I had a Q&A with him about Shroud of the Avatar and just game design decisions in general, but that was a little while back. I don't really remember too many specifics, other than, I mean, he came off as kind of having the same, um, like his vision seems to be pretty consistent with what I would like, but you gotta wonder, how much. It seems like a lot of him is going into that game, and that's a good thing. But you gotta wonder if these younger people are coming in and leading it astray, or if it's gonna actually turn out to be, the next Ultima Online. I
That's what
just
I was wondering. How much directorial control is he exuding or exerting over
well,
this process?
Well, I mean, when I watched an interview with him a while back where he was talking about the reason why they use Unity. And let me start off first by saying I'm skeptical as fuck of any project that starts with Unity, especially if they have any sizable budget, because Unity has just tremendous design flaws. I don't think you could design an MMO in Unity effectively, just because, and by MMO, of course, I mean something with hundreds of people on the same screen. Just they don't even have a UDP API in there. So, I mean, I'm not sure how you could do anything that's reflecting
Well, can
accurately.
you roll your own and install it as a plugin?
Uh, at that point, I mean, if you're just rewriting everything in the source, why wouldn't you just kind of build from a different starting point like XNA or something? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. That's a good point.
I,
Okay, but
I'm critical of it just because it seemed like whenever I got into Unity, I ended up wanting to change so much to where it wouldn't resemble Unity at all. And then why would you want an all-inclusive package like that? It just doesn't make sense. Like really, all I would want to start a game is like just like a pipeline to the video card, and that's it.
this
Because
begs the
beyond that,
question. Did you ask Richard this?
I asked him, why they went with Unity, and really, and this was my original point. He was talking about how he is not a young man, and I don't think anybody would accuse him of that. And as the Ultima series progressed, he became less and less involved with actually making the game. And a tool like Unity is very good for collaborative efforts, so he could actually go in and like tweak how a house looks or do this and do that relatively easily. I totally get it. If you're really an enthusiast of making a game, like we all know he is, he wants to have his fingers in there. And if they were doing something that was cutting edge with a whole bunch of programmers, I don't think he'd be able to keep up with that kind of a project. Now, I could be totally wrong. He could be a genius. I mean, you just don't see that many people that old that are that involved with the cutting edge design stuff, especially since so much of what he did was in 2 dimensions before, and he never really since the Ultima series looked decent, he had nothing to do with the way that it looked.
Something you said that stands out to me. He mentioned he's not a young man anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I think that kind of is conveyed in what he was saying about wanting to be involved in the project, because his whole point was how easy it was to actually be collaborative in there. I'm saying it's probably because he's getting up there and he just doesn't want to try and keep up with all this stuff. He just wants to be able to say, I want to make this change and make the change, And Unity's good for that. It's just like it's not good for things that you want to run efficiently. These one-size-fits-all solutions, they're not great for that.
Well,
They're not well
honestly,
optimized.
that's making me kind of sad. As I'm sort of looking forward to Shroud of the Avatar. I just watched a video the other day, and while I'm definitely interested to try Arcade, um, I'm more interested to try something Richard Garriott puts out.
Yeah, and I definitely want to try it. Why you look like a ghost now with the fudging? Okay, he was. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see what he has to do, and I think it's going to have his touch. I mean, down to the fact that you don't even right-click to talk to NPCs anymore in Shroud of the Avatar. You actually have to, type out words. Like if you want to buy something, you have to say, "Hey, I want to buy something," and they say, "Oh, here's what I have," instead of opening up a menu and buying something that way.
Wait, that's the idea in Shroud?
That's one of their big proponents is that you have to have conversations with the NPCs in order to progress quests and things.
Okay, well let me tell you this. That interests me. The other day, and I've not looked into Shroud aside from a video I saw the other day, which didn't show any gameplay. It basically showed houses and shit like that. But I was thinking about King's Quest. Okay, ever since we were talking about Sierra.com that they're going to come out with King's Quest or something like that in 2015.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the interface for King's Quest. You had to say give this or go do this or do that. And I wondered why. And please correct me if I'm missing a link here. Why don't we see that in games nowadays? I thought to myself, well, we're able to do a lot with interaction visually, but it's not the same. There's something that is not the same about it. Am I telling you that that sort of game would be far better? Definitely not. But I remember, it creates a different texture of gameplay than just
Yeah.
clicking and everything. For example, I think it was King's Quest V, where there was a lot of mouse interaction that happened, and I didn't like that one as much as I like King's Quest One. Hey,
Mhm.
but King's Quest V is more modern. Everything, the graphics were smoother, the animation, everything. But there's something about King's Quest One, and I remember expressly King's Quest Three with that fucking wizard in the house. And he had this bottle of Cheese Whiz. You had to do something to wrest it from his control. And to do this, you'd have to have the right items in your inventory and then type the proper commands fast enough. We always try to go get my uncle to come up and help us because he was a fast typer. We're just little kids. If we're going to type honey, we'd be like hunting and pecking. H-O, and then next thing you know, wizard puts us in his prison. But my uncle would come
Yeah.
up and so what do you think about that as far as games nowadays that
Hey,
don't have that type interface? Is that a
it's
good call?
it's kind of funny because it seems like as games got more modern, the puzzles got a lot less sophisticated. And it's just I think it's partially as a result of originally they didn't have interface, controls that were capable of easily doing things. So, the type commands they were kind of all you had for a while, like with Zork and the like. And then I think it kind of evolved into those LucasArts adventure games like Monkey Island and Day of the Tentacle, which I'm a huge fan of, where you kind of combine items to solve different riddles or whatever. And you just don't see that these days. It's all like, here's an arrow to go where you're supposed to go and click what you're supposed to click, and then you're done. And
Right. So from a design perspective, what's wrong with having, let's say, a vocabulary of 30 words and incorporating that into the game?
there's nothing wrong, but they could do it even more sophisticated than that. I mean, I've had in the past, like a decade ago, I've had instant messenger bots trying to make me look at pictures that were very convincing. Like, why can't they
Like
be as sophisticated as it's like,
men
bitch,
holding their dicks.
I know you're fake, and it's like, I'm not fake. Check out these pics. You are so sexy, you know?
Check out my balls.
And it's like, if they can do that, if these IM bots can trick me into clicking on their pictures, then
Well,
why
that's a
can't
true
I?
story.
Yeah, this is real. This is real life. All right,
Bug
this
or
is
real? That's not a bug. That really happened.
these bots. They're a real thing. It's like you get these phone calls with pre-recorded messages that are trying to convince you to buy a timeshare, but it's not a real person.
No, you love that. They say, hello there, and you're all, hello? And then next thing you know, there's a pause. You pick
Hello,
up.
hello again. But that happened the other day, and I was like, oh, it's a robot. And there was a pre-recorded message that said, ha 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 ha, no, I'm a real person. And that's fucking crazy. It's like, why can't a game do that? And not to mention, with all the voice recognition shit that's going on, why is voice not being implemented into any games?
I wouldn't play that.
Well, regardless of if you play it, like even in proximity voice for like communicating with people, that would be way better than having to type out everything you say. You don't see it very often. Like if I could walk up to somebody and shadow the avatar and say, "Look at my buns," and they hear it on their left side, so they know I'm over to the left. I mean that would be pretty sweet, and then I'd be
I
there with my
agree.
buns.
Yeah. In theory, that's nice, but people always fuck it up. They DJ music and whatnot for you. Like, here,
Yeah,
listen to some Lithuanian tunes. You need this.
but they could. I mean, you could detect that shit. I mean, frequencies that a human voice shouldn't be able to make. You could mute a person for that.
Yeah, or you find a guy and you can mute him. Mute that tune.
Yeah, but then I
Uh,
just run around, buns, 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 and I'm not.
yeah, and they can mute you text-wise.
They could do that, but I would just say buns more.
So let me get this straight. You agree with me that there's no reason we shouldn't have games
Yeah,
with a vocabulary that you have to type out your commands. Buy this,
and
do
that's
this,
what
pick up.
Try the Avatar is doing. I mean, not with like picking up stuff, but like with you know receiving quests and figuring things out. You have to ask people about things. If you remember the Ultima series, you had to like go through a list of things that you knew and find out which NPC might have any kind of information on like where the moist towelette is, and then you go find it. And things don't let you explore that way anymore. I don't know. I don't even know if it would work because I don't know if people have the attention span for it. I don't even know if I have the attention span for it, but I miss it. You know,
Yeah.
I find myself fast forwarding through old Super Nintendo games, but I also miss the days where I didn't have access to fast forward and I had to read all the text and talk to all the different things. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe as a culture, we're all just becoming too attention deficited, defaced.
There's definitely something to say about us becoming defaced, but
Defaced.
I also consider this kind of like with humor. Do you notice 80s humor is basically not funny? And it's not
Uh,
funny to your kids. I mean, you don't have any kids that age, but they're like, "What the fuck are you doing to me right now? Showing me this 80s joke. Get the fuck out with that." Because
I'm
it's
gonna
not
need an
funny.
example because honestly, I was alive for 5 years in the '80s and I wasn't really doing much humor at that time.
Okay, my problem is I'm horrible at, for example, movie quotes and remembering specifics. But the best I can do right now on the spot is let's talk about Rodney Dangerfield. There is nothing to me that's funny about that guy. Hey,
I get no
what?
respect. I'm a fat piece of shit.
I'll tell you
Oh,
what. I come here and
oh.
want to see these naked chicks. Whoa! Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Seinfeld humor. I know a lot of people like Seinfeld, but
Wait,
it's
I
just
would say that
never.
Seinfeld humor is sort of the precursor to where we're at now with the snarkiness, kind of this
Maybe,
observing
yeah.
life around you, adding
Not
a little snark to it and
not
sarcasm.
Seinfeld himself, because Seinfeld is the least funny part of Seinfeld. And then
I
there's
agree.
all the characters, I think, like Kramer and all
Yeah.
the weird people that are being funny. But Seinfeld as a stand-up comedian, I think, was a disaster and not funny at all. But
From what I've seen, I completely agree, but that man is worth large dollars.
yeah, it's just whenever I see him, he's kind of like Ray Romano. I don't know why he's so rich.
Ray Romano. Exactly. He got his own
Exactly.
TV show.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Everybody
funny
loves
about
Raymond.
Ray. I
Talk about
fucking
the
hate that show. My wife watches it. I want to fucking hurl every time I walk in the room. Why the fuck are you watching Ray Romano?
talk about the
Ugh.
world's like most clear definition of irony. Is the title of that show.
So I mean, there you go. It's like humor evolves, and other things as well. So some things aren't as palatable to this current generation. I guarantee, for example, if I put my son and my daughter on Maniac Mansion, they would
Oh
not
yeah,
enjoy that. They'd be like,
that
please,
was the that
tell me
was
what
the
I got to do to turn this
precursor
off.
to Day of the Tentacle, and I mean even it even illustrates what you're talking about. Did you ever play Day of the Tentacle?
No.
It was one of those LucasArts adventure games that has characters from Maniac Mansion in it, and it was more of a click and drag type of a thing, and less of a what the fuck am I doing? I lost in the first 10 minutes, but the game never tells you you lose and you're trapped in the prison and you can't do anything. Like, what? How the fuck do you play that game? I have no idea. If I did it now, it might make more sense. I was very young when I played the first time. But,
No, that was definitely it was honestly as an adult game. I read, God, one of the designers or developers, he had a blog about it, and in order to port it to Nintendo, they had to get rid of a lot of innuendo in the various
yes.
references they made. So they kind of made it on their level. They had to dumb it down, but the logic
Isn't it
and
funny?
riddles remain the same.
Isn't it funny how when people ported things to those old consoles, you had to like take major parts of dialogue out just because they couldn't like if you wanted to have this boss battle, you had to like lose half the conversations in the game.
Yes,
And
yeah, you had to clean it up.
it's so funny how far we've come with storage to where that's just preposterous now. But it's crazy. I mean, I like to follow the evolution of stuff, especially music on those old chipsets, because there weren't really tools to do that, which makes all those composers like the SquareSoft composer that did all those Final Fantasy games, was fucking amazing. Like he wrote all this music on these chipsets that had very limited, sounds that could be made, and they didn't really have any way to engineer, that music other than what the guy invented. But it's pretty cool.
No, absolutely.
Fake nerds would not agree.
Fake nerds don't know what the fuck just hit them with that conversation.
They're like Voodoo 2. They're still in a coma trying to like comprehend what we're talking about. They'll
Now,
come back in with the fantasy football and be right at home.
What do you say now? Now that I've sufficiently warmed you up, you've been sufficed. Face slavery.
Bro, I don't know what that means.
God damn it! I just
Did you expect me to like realize and say aha? Face slavery.
I did expect you to have the aha moment. The fact is,
face slavery. That's like when you eat a Pokemon.
I wrote down 2 words, and I don't know what I was thinking.
Maybe we're reading it wrong, and we're supposed to face slavery as like, like empathize with it or face it like a fear.
Or face the history of it.
Or maybe somebody is the face of slavery, and you were.
Okay, I feel like I'm touching my womanly side right now, my inner child. I feel like it was something to do with your face as a slave. Nothing, huh? Okay, we'll come back to that one because we still have a couple more points to go.
This thing is long, man.
Get over yourself.
I said I'd be right back like 3 hours ago.
Who?
Oh no, no, I have no obligation.
I'll tell you what. Remember before we started this thing, I asked you, "Hey, do you mind if we push this off till whenever?"
Why did you want to do that? You want to mention that on the?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this makes for something else people can have playing in the background as they type out righteous code or do whatever the fuck cool it does.
The 2 people that listen, one is a coder and one is cool it.
Now you derailed me.
Yep.
Oh, pushing
Face
this
slave.
off. Okay, I was face slave. That's our first T-shirt. Face slave. Nobody knows what the fuck it means. Design it. We'll sell it. Everybody will buy it. I'll buy it. Face slave. So I want to push off because I was feeling tired, and then so here I am. I'm putting my kids down, and whenever I put them down, well, not whenever, but very often, I'll go and I'll lay on one of their beds, and we'll start having a conversation. Ah! We'll start having a conversation, and I'll get into it, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm starting to feel tired, and next thing you know, I'll be zoning out on their bed, I'll fall asleep while they're talking to me. So anyway, I'm just dragging. I'm like, I told Miguelito, the possible face slave, that we'd cast tonight. I thought,
Probable.
What I wanted to do was, at that point, I wanted to zone out and play Minecraft with my girls. There you go. Minecraft. That game has me by the ball sack.
So I'm stopping you from family time right now?
You are stopping me from Minecraft?
I kind of feel bad for doing that.
You should not. The reality is, depending who plays, they're going to do their own thing, whether they want to go cook some fucking chicken or explore a cave. They're
I think
not
realistically,
play with me.
You could probably be playing Minecraft right now, like while we're doing this. I don't think that would prevent you from following through on this. I mean, it's not like
IQ 33.
Oh yeah.
A distinct lack of multitasking.
You're doing so incredibly well for a person with a 33 IQ. Let me tell you.
Well, that's because you've got a webcam on you. I could see your face. Keeps me engaged.
I'm not liking the fact that you just are not changing the camera. This has become the my blemishes show.
Okay. All right. Here, let me change the camera back to me.
Why is it so dark? Why do you look like a fucking ghost?
I was just messing around with the controls on the webcam, and it's to hide my nudity.
Okay.
Here we go.
People want it. People want to see it. That's good. That's right. It feels good.
There you go. Should I stand up and give people more of We'll
I
keep
don't
that to
know. I
myself.
don't know. How are your nipples? Are they like decent?
If it's cold out, they're very
I
decent.
want a 1 to 10.
Okay, is it
And
cold or hot though?
no, I mean like just in general, quality of nipple.
It depends on the heat. That's the fact. If it's
Yeah.
hot out, I'd say like a 3.
I mean mine are invisible because of the hair.
Yeah.
That
You're
wolfs
like
my
a
entire
guy from the
body.
Bible who fucking put donkey hair on him to copy the other brother. So you're like
Is
the
that
other brother.
is that the Bible or is that like a different strokes episode?
Yeah, I think Different Strokes took it from the Bible, which
Where
is
the
what the
world
biggest
don't move.
joke. How's that? How's that
Man,
look? Is that
that's worse.
I'm just playing with the contrast, the balance, and
It
whatnot.
looked good before.
Here,
Now it's
I'm feeling a little.
blue.
I'm feeling a little sick right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to work on the web settings. Maybe put some clothes on for the future.
I
It's
think
just
that
a,
our professionalism, I think, is what people come here for.
that's. I tend
And
to agree with that.
for the people listening, um, I mean, I can't even describe what I'm seeing right now. You look kind of like an old-fashioned racist cartoon of a black person,
This one does. This actually looks like this kind
or
of looks
maybe
like
a little bit
blackface right
like
now,
Mr. Popo.
and this looks like.
Oh, that's
Oh,
not
there
bad.
you go. Okay, so those of you who are listening to the cast, check it out on YouTube around 2 minutes. I'm just messing with my webcam, trying to diminish
Two
my
minutes,
nudity, which
2 hours.
Miguelito wants to see more of. 2 hours is nothing. These things, by the way, 2 hours for me has gone by quickly as I have explored every wrinkle in your skin and all your facial features. By the way, I have to say, the webcam that you purloined from your boss, not bad.
It's not good,
No, it's not great. You
but
can definitely afford a better one.
it's not terrible. I mean, now you got me wanting to adjust things. I think I've got myself looking a little purple right now.
I, you know, It's there you go. Now you're pale. I like that. That brings out your eyebrows. A moment ago, you were bringing out your eyebrows. You had the pale white. That's very natural skin tone for you right
Oh,
there.
that's actually not
No,
so
that's
bad
not
at
bad.
all.
That was good. That actually added definition, skin tone. Very GQ. Now you're not GQ.
Mm.
Now you're pale back mountain.
Well, my natural color is quite vampish. So,
Is it really? Now you don't spend any time in the sun. You told me you ride your bike to work. Oh God. Hello there, sexy. Oh.
yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about myself right now.
How long have you been taking the bike to work?
I ride, man, every day for it's been like 2 years now. So I guess I get a little sun, but not. I mean, it doesn't show. And also, I'm very dark. My hair is very dark, so it's kind of a, it makes me look paler. And I got this nonsense.
I don't see nonsense. That looks like you shave your chest to me.
No, it's quite bushsome. I just think the camera's fidelity is not great.
Huh. Well,
Hmm.
huh.
Huh.
Well, yeah.
Well, what were we talking about? Something
Okay,
about.
so let's get back on track here.
Wow,
We've
now I
got
feel bad. I haven't set my camera like looking real fucking sexy now.
no, yeah, you drove the chicks away a long time ago. I tried to
Yeah.
salvage that with my nudity. Didn't work.
So our target audience is chicks now.
I wouldn't mind that,
So let's talk more about things that they like. What do they like? What is the
Barbies,
opposite of esports?
Barbies, and laying out in the
Barbie.
sun. Okay, Desperate Housewives, which is actually kind of a funny show. My wife has made me watch it. You can catch that on Netflix. I've not
Yeah.
watched a whole episode, but there are snippets that are comical.
Maybe
You know
like
what's funny? You know what's funny,
manicured
dude?
nails.
No, no, come on. Don't gross me out. You know what's funny, though? Is a Lego show called Ninjago. So when your daughter gets a little older, scope out Ninjago on Netflix.
Yeah,
It's
she doesn't
actually
watch TV now.
at all.
She's She's like 16 months, and I tried to like. I mean, I'm a terrible parent for doing it because it's like why make them watch TV if they're like happy doing other things. But I was out of curiosity, I put on some children's programming, and she just like immediately stood up and ran away from it, tried to do other things. She has no interest whatsoever. But what she does like to do is take my phone and call people. So that's been fun.
What a good girl.
She called my boss the other day. She said a bunch of meh and a bunch of her into the phone. And the whole time he's like, what? Hello? What? She's not very
What?
convincing.
Hello? Miguelito? You're fired?
Yeah, he doesn't call me by my moniker for whatever reason. He calls me by my actual name.
Wow, what is up with that?
Yeah, I've asked him. I was like, hey, why don't you call me by what internet nerds call me? And he's like, what the fucking hell?
I thought he was a .com boss. What's up?
Yeah, for sure.
So check this out. Let me share with you. I'm gonna put the camera on me for a second. Just so this segment of the show is called Ryan Sharing Time. For those of you not watching the camera, I'm holding up a bottle of whiskey to the camera. I want to show something that tastes good. There we go. Is that straight? As I float in and out of the camera, 4 roses, single barrel.
How do you compare it to
That
Miggy
tastes good.
Splash?
Let me tell you what I compare it to. The last whiskey I had, which was a Scotch, and I am going to bequeath it on my deathbed to cool it. Actually, the next time I see it, that shit's coming with me. I took 2 sips of this whiskey. It's a Scotch called Oban. It tastes like the devil's ass. It is horrible. That shit's going right to cool it. I think he can handle it. It's fucking miserable. I'm going to watch him drink it. He'll probably like it. But after having that fucking pig shit, this is good. I mean, it literally tastes good. I'm a fan of whiskey. This tastes good. In fact, check this out. My wife, she's trying to troubleshoot this. Like we're troubleshooting computers. She's like, well, I heard scotches don't taste the same. I mean, no. Okay, so we've got good coverage there. We've got bourbons and scotches. As far as I know, those are the 2 primary whiskeys, okay? Bourbons are basically U.S.-made whiskey. Scotches, they're from fucking Northern Europe, basically, Scotland, Ireland, England. And they kind of taste like they've got some flower or fruit in them. No big deal. Glenlivet, good. Jameson, good. So I'm like, Oban, I could roll with Oban. Horrible. Cool it. You're in for a treat. I've got this wonderful whiskey. I'm gonna give it to you. You're gonna owe me. It's like
You can't give that negative endorsement and then immediately after you gotta first say, okay, now skip ahead 10 minutes, cool it.
well, I'm hoping he hears the part about I'm giving him something.
Oh yeah,
just
and not
claims to
herpes.
oh, for me?
Because you can't give someone herpes twice. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. Oban, it might clean the system. Dude, honestly, I think I got a rotten bottle. I don't know how it's possible to get a rotten bottle of whiskey, but I think I got one. I mean, can you imagine a rotten bottle of vodka? Imagine that.
I don't know. To
How
me,
the fuck does it rot?
it kind of. I mean, it's kind of like a perpetual state of acid, like
Exactly.
battery acid. And I'm sure
Exactly.
if I spent money, I'd probably get something that tasted better. But I'm cheap as fuck, so.
What do you drink? What kind of vodka goes into a Miguelito Splash Classic?
The most recent one is just 100 proof Smirnoff, which is pretty normal, I guess.
Pretty normal. That's not like drinking Costco vodka.
No, I don't drink like Pips vodka. Johnny Jones's bathtub vodka.
Here's a new topic for you.
It's not fancy. It's super not fancy.
Well, Smirnoff's not horrible. I would drink it. The truth is, if I drink anything less than Smirnoff's, and I don't know how this is possible, call me a lady, but if I drink shit from like the well of the well, I'll fucking throw up. But if
Yeah.
I drink something that's like, I don't want to say top shelf because that's not, then I'll be okay. How the fuck does that work? Who knows?
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Probably just had a bad experience once, and
Oh, I've had many bad experiences.
Yeah. Well, I
Now,
mean, aversions are strong.
they are strong within me, just like the Force.
Yes. Hold me closer,
Tell me what you
time
can do with this topic.
dancer.
Are you ready? This is like Jeopardy. Da-na-na-na. Okay, face slavery.
For 1,000.
Face slavery for 1,000. Double Jeopardy. Okay, so I guess we're
What
passing on
is
that.
face slavery?
I cannot believe I forget this. Okay, whatever. Face fucking slavery. That's gonna haunt my dreams tonight. Um, at this point, I have nothing else to discuss. This concludes the list, except for the items that I want to talk to you about, which would normally be handled offline. Yet I want to invite the listeners and the viewers, for all of the viewers out there on YouTube land, to go ahead and stick around for this. And in the course of this discussion, if you have any thoughts, add them to the comments, because I know nothing about marketing or what gets your attention. And if any of your commentary has to do with, then I don't want to hear about it. So, do you like what I did there? Miguelito, if you're watching the webcam, you saw my mouth was shut. That was a convenient break.
It's
Anyway,
very Aikmanian.
did you like that? So if you have anything to say about this, then that'd be good. So as I was saying, all right, where are we going with this podcast? That's the question. Now we're kind of like, this is our private call that people can listen into. We've basically concluded the main show. So if you want to edit the podcast at this point, I would not advise it. But sincerely, where do you want to go with this? What are we doing? How do you feel about it? Give me, whatever feedback you have.
Wait.
I'm serious about this.
Because you...
Okay, we can hold this conversation offline where you say, Ryan, you fucking got to fix this and this and that, or we could do it online. I figure we do it online. And
Yeah, whatever. I
here.
have no qualms about unleashing the beast of our failure to market this podcast or advertise. Or
What are your thoughts? Where do you want to go with this? And what
I
do
don't
you think
know.
about the product so far? We're 2 episodes in. We've got 2 fucked up starts, intros to the cast. Do you care about that? Is that something you want to fix?
I don't think that we're ever gonna go. I mean, just based on the
My
personality
whiskey
types, I don't think we're ever gonna be, editing things down to remove some of that charm. Let's call it a charm.
I
I
feel
think
like
that
you're addressing our joint lassitude.
we have we have a thing called charm that makes it hard to get out of bed in the morning because it's much more fun to just lay there. It's charm, and I think we're effectively instituting a plan of action that is mostly charm driven and not work driven.
Okay, let's
But
talk on that. What would
I
it
don't
take?
mind. I mean, the video thing is a try. I'm curious to see if anybody prefers this medium, where it seems like it's mostly just my face, probably again.
I am pro that medium.
Um, so maybe we could figure out a method to where it's not all my face. I don't know.
I will tell you what, since you are not holding the controls, and I wish there was joint controls. I have no problem, sharing this. You can call me next time if you want. But there is the option for a custom overlay. What would be nice is, I think, if we had a deal where you're to the left, I'm to the right, or
Yeah.
top bottom. I suppose if somebody had to be bottom, that'd be you. you know, that way we get
Power
equal
bottom.
FaceTime, even though I'm not into giving myself FaceTime. Otherwise, people will be exposed to a tremendous amount of frecklish nudity. If that's what people want to see, I'm fine with that. But yeah, I don't blame you for not, I mean, this caters to your narcissism, though. You should love that.
Absolutely.
This is the Miguelito hour, visually speaking.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about me is that I'm myself,
Uh-huh.
and I think
And
most
how do you feel
people
about that?
most people would agree. I think that that's the case.
Okay, so should we start off the cast by Should it be serious? You know, like for example, I called you, we spoke, I hit start broadcast, and we'd not yet introed it. And then I introed the cast. Meanwhile, we have all this previous crap in there. Is that good or bad? Or do you want to start the cast where we intro it and then everything relevant comes after the intro?
I think that it actually is doing us a disservice to take it very seriously at all. And I kind of like how we just kind of roll into it depending on whatever is going on that day, because the format, I think if you try and force things into a format that's the same every single time, I mean, it might make it easier to like skip ahead to the part you like, but it's not necessarily going to fit the content that you're talking about.
Here's the problem. I agree with you 100%, but in no way does that make me right. You know,
If you're agreeing with me, then you're absolutely right.
Ultimately, all I want to do, my goal for the podcast, is to just talk about games, some real life stuff, and miscellaneous conversation, and laugh. If I could do those things, then I'm happy. However, if you have different goals, or if people who listen enjoy our chemistry but would like us to focus, you are such a good artist. You know, don't show that to a Pokemon. We might find him on a spit. You know, but if somebody listening, they want something more specific, I don't want to say that our goal is to drive you away by saying, don't fucking bother, we're going to do what we want to do. But the reality is, we're just two dudes having a conversation. You're jumping into that conversation. A lot of it will be related to games. Miguelito's drawings of Bulbasaur with a unicorn and some teeth. And
It's
I think
evolving.
that's pretty much where we're going. But does that meet what you want to do?
I don't think that it's in my best interest to cater to individuals, but if there's a massive uproar and they don't like the format of the vomiting unicorn man, then I mean, say something. I'm willing to listen to opinions. I also don't know what the preferred mechanism for consumption is, whether it's YouTube or whether it's the website or even iTunes for the 33 IQ people. So there's that. That's kind of on the it's on the shelf. But
Okay. You know, I hear you, and I'll raise you 3, okay, as I contribute my own drawing to this mess. All right. All right, you ready for this?
yes.
We're trading drawings here, folks, for those of you that are not looking at YouTube.
Muscle wizard.
Those are my drawing skills. You know, I think that's the first picture I've drawn in like 1 year. So
Pretty good, pretty solid.
Not
Your skills
bad.
have not atrophied even
Terribly.
the slightest.
I used to, you know what? Back when I was a kid, I used to get comic books, not because I was into comic books, but to learn how to draw. I was enthralled with what people were able to commit to paper. I thought that'd be awesome if I could do that. I never was able to do what they could do, but I did achieve some moderate ability to copy what they had. But doing it from your head, that's something else. That's a fucking craft, some art right there. Okay, next picture. Oh, Bulbasaur with a big ass. This cast is definitely degraded, and if you're not watching it, you're missing out. You need to kind of at least watch from the 2-minute point where Miguelito whips out his sketch pad. I think that's where you're going to make your most money. So check us out on YouTube. It's Mr. Pod, episode 2, dash Miguelito's Bean. That's the stuff.
That's not an actual account.
That's the name of the cast, Miguelito's Bean.
Mr.
It's what I came up with before we started. I had to
Butt
give it a
Bean.
title. Okay, so sincerely though, you got to stop thinking that we're casting for the populace here. You're cool with the current format. If you want something more professional, I'm willing to up my game a little bit and see where that takes us. I just happen to favor the lazy conversational method of casting. Look at the Viper cast,
Hey,
cast 1 through 103, whatever we did it for fucking last Valentine's Day. That's my
if
speed, but I can pick it up. I can
if
go
we
more
have
pro.
a if we have a fidelity issue, like an audio or video issue that people can't deal with, I mean, I'm not unwilling to like move that up. But if nobody's even watching, if people don't want to see it on YouTube, which the length I think alone would prevent people from watching on YouTube. Uh,
Miguelito's Bean. I'm not sure. I think that's a crowd pleaser.
we could do, micro things on YouTube, keep the macro and audio.
Yes, true. Speaking of micro things, check out Miguelito eating yogurt. You probably won't sleep properly tonight if you watch it,
Didn't,
but
didn't, didn't, didn't.
what what inspired you to that music, joining it to your yogurt eating?
Well, it's basically free music on YouTube that you just like click a button and it applies the music. So it was
Really?
it was the most
You didn't
intense
like
one.
think about it?
No, I just clicked a button. There's literally zero creativity involved.
Okay, I need to find this
The
free music.
championing, the image, that's the creativity.
That was awesome. Um, all right, dude. Well, we were going to talk about the cast. You have nothing to say? Is that what you're telling me? You have nothing to add? No critiques. No, I want to talk more about this. You don't mind talking about real life topics, or you do mind anything. Tell me.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, eye to eye.
I
Confide
forgot
in me, bro.
we did talk about a bunch of stuff that was completely unrelated.
How do you feel about that?
And I enjoy it.
That's all that matters. You know what? Basically, people are listening to a podcast where we're talking about what we want to talk about. So those of you that are
Ah,
listening,
ah.
we're willing to make certain upgrades, but we're not willing to go hog wild to cater to everybody. You can't fucking cater to everybody. And I personally, when I listen to podcasts, I like to hear less CNN and more natural vibe.
And if you'd like me to make fun of more people or less people, if you're uncomfortable with the amount of me making fun of people that I do, uh, that's not changing. So,
Now, may I submit my request right now?
yes,
I
if you want
would
me to
like
talk,
you
oh, go
to make
ahead.
fun of more people.
I'm thinking in the context of esports, if you are upset at all about what I've said and you can disprove that I mean, if you are involved on an esports team and you get like mad lady parts, I need to see it. I need the physical proof on my desk, and then I will print a retraction on the website. But
Miguelito, I gotta ask you one thing, son.
man, I don't know if you want to open that floodgate.
Well, I kind of do. I was looking to tap into the real you, and I'm kind
Mm,
of thinking that y'all ought to talk about actual esports players, talk about them personally.
personally, go to their homes.
Should we talk about individual gamers?
We could
And
go to their studio apartments.
okay, let's talk about the future. Okay, to be serious for a minute, I'd like to get some developers on here. One of the original concepts we had, which obviously is not unique, was we're going to have a dev grill, and our whole concept at that point is like 6 years ago was when we have a dev grill, there's going to be an icon of like a grill with like a dev broiling over the flames. But anyway, we got to get some devs on here. They could be of indie
Yeah,
games, they could be of AAA titles. I don't give a fuck. But
I got the
I think it'd
hookup,
be
man.
fun to talk to dudes like that. What do you think about that?
I've got a ton of people that I think would be interested in something like that. Especially when it comes to like my scene, which is the like sandbox MMO developers, lesser known people. And then so far as I might even be able to, in the past, I've lured a AAA person to give me time of day in
With
Jeremy
what
Gaffney
bait?
from WildStar, but he has since stepped down at Carbine, so I don't want to say that was my fault, but I did claim that Star Citizen took down their their thing because of me. So let's go ahead and say that it's all because of me. I'm
I'm
creating
willing to say that. In
these
fact, it's all
waves.
because of you. There, I said it.
Yeah, it's
How
just
did you bait him in?
um I
Give a
I
little
tweeted.
salami and cheese?
I said, hey, does anybody want to come talk to somebody at I Hate MMOs? And they said, that would be great. Send your questions and we'll find somebody who wants to answer them. So I wrote up a bunch of questions and apparently he read them and he said, I'm doing it. But
It's like, fuck this guy. I'll take him on. What a
yeah, no,
hero.
I think he just decided that based on the angle of questioning, he felt like I was going to be uh, proponent for the game, and that only works up to the point to where I actually play the game. And I'm not going to lie to people. I mean, and that's a big problem, especially recently, is game journalists not doing a service to consumers by kind of playing favorites towards people that have been nice to them instead of playing favorites towards games and ideas that are good. It's not the same thing.
That's one thing that I appreciate about your site, IHateMMOs.com, is your level of candor. And sure, you dress it up in humor and sarcasm, but there's a realness to it that you don't find anywhere else. I would say that 95% of game journalism out there is cocksucking.
Yeah,
Literally
they do a lot of
jumping on
circle
dev
jerking.
nutsacks and swinging left to right. Oh,
But
you know.
that's the same as all journalism. I mean, you see an illness in our culture of people doing things for profit that really should be reserved for people doing things ethically. And with gaming in general, you don't get to test games unless you play the game like, and by the game I mean unless you like circle jerk. You don't get sent games to screen because they don't want you to give bad previews and stuff. And if you did get the game to screen and you gave a bad preview, you'd never see another one out of the studio. So I mean, on the one hand, they want to keep getting content for the site so they make ad revenue. But at some point, you have to imagine that they don't believe anything that they're saying anymore, or they just have terrible taste.
Exactly.
And,
Let's compare this to the food industry. Now, it's not that I have a whole lot of experience with that, Mr. Maximus Osmus Hansemus, but I would say that in the food industry, food critics, you're like, where the fuck did that come from? I've got it on my notepad. In the food industry, you've got food critics that will say exactly what's on their mind. And we don't find that in the video game industry, except for sites like yours, which you're the
yeah,
only.
because a food critic doesn't have to rely on a restaurant sending an order to their house before anybody can try the restaurant. The games industry, you see like a dev cycle where people are specifically interested in marketing, and so there's. I want to say that everybody has a lot less credibility, but they have a lot more fun. It's like, where does credibility come from? You've played video games before. That's it.
I agree.
Anybody could write about games, but if it's your goal to make money writing about games, then you can't be honest. You just can't.
Well, you can, but they're not normally.
Well, yeah, I guess people like Yahtzee, Ben Croshaw from Zero Punctuation. He's kind of made a niche out of tearing down games, but that's because he does it in such a way where he's so famous that people still want him to give the exposure. But if it's just some random guy, they're not going to send me a game.
I've never heard of either of those two guys, by the way.
Oh, it's the
Are they
same.
famous because you track them and you look for other negative game reviewers, or?
No, he's pretty big. I mean, the Australian guy who does those really fast talking videos
Okay.
with the yellow background.
And they've got a lot of editing. So you
Yeah.
go into a castle, and the king decides to chop off the queen's head. You see the head rolling down the floor, and that guy, he does stuff like that. He talks fast.
Uh,
And, no? He does like 10-minute videos. I'm
I
trying to do
think
this on the fly
I
with the
think
video.
every British person is like that. So I can't say you might be talking about Russell Brand or the Queen or I don't know. I mean, they're all kind of like that. But this guy in particular, I find amusing, so I bring him up. He's got a significant following.
So he's famous to you.
He's famous. I'm
Famous to you
shocked.
and your hair.
Yes. What? Yes. Huh?
Correct answer. All right, dude. So do we have anything else to add to Miguelito's Bean, or should we call it?
No, I don't have a whole lot more to
But
talk
you
about.
have a little. You've got a little left in there.
No, not really.
Excellent. All right, let's call it then.
All right.
Everybody, thank you very much. We thank you from the depths of our bottomless hearts for listening to Mr. Pod Episode 2, Miguelito's Bean. You can find Miguelito at IHateMMOs.com. Very nice, Miguelito. You can find me at MMO Smack Talk. Click on Viper. You'll see the worst website ever made by mankind. There's a long story behind that. Don't hate me, but go ahead and click that and catch up on old cast or explore our joint YouTube channel here at MMOSmackTalk.com. That's a mouthful.